mo mga pagkain?
Ito. Isang punong-puno. Pancake. Isang kanin. Dalawang potato na dalawang hotdog. Isang waffle. Dalawang cheesecake. Ayun yung mga niya.
Yung kailangan natin manalo.
Kailangan natin manalo. Manalo na lang tayo.
Kasi ang dami nga lang natin throw. Oras tsaka throw.
Laro nyo yung game nyo, mananalo tayo dito ha. TME on 3. 1, 2, 3. TME!
Bro muna.
Di ba parang parehas lang? Na combo-combo.
Pero mamaya na level 3 mo kunin. Malakas yan eh. Sagat ka ba ito ma? Bakit malayo ako? Mauna yung
Ay, magdadagdag daw siya oh! Panot namin yan!
10 seconds barrier ko, 10 seconds.
Ay! Nanay mo panot! Nanay mo panot! Nanay mo panot! Nanay panot! Nakot ano pa tayo dito?
Power!
Good afternoon, Southeast Asia. We welcome you back to the group stages of the Garena Premier League Summer 2017. I'm Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We will be your casters for the last day of the group stages to determine who will be moving on to the knockout stage.
Yes, and very exciting indeed, as this is the last day wherein every game counts. Like, forget about day 1, day 2. This is the make it or break it for most of these teams right here, especially for those that are kind of shaky right now, that might not want to go into a tiebreaker, or even worse, you know, just ultimately lose out just when you have that one last chance.
Right now, the standings so far for Team Manila Eagles stand at the 2nd spot, followed by in the 1st spot would be Young Generation. This is going to be the first game for day 3. This is Young Generation versus TME. Let's see, will TME score a victory against Young Generation? Because this victory could mean everything for TME. They could make it to the knockout stage. The only win they need right now, as long as they win against Resurgence, they're guaranteed the 2nd seed spot moving on to knockout stage. But if they win against Young Generation, I'm pretty sure TME is going to feel very happy with that, and with that confidence, might beat Young Generation and then Resurgence in the following games.
Yeah, I mean, after a crazy 2-0 yesterday, they're just going into this game with a lot of confidence, probably a little bit of nerves, but a lot more confidence. I mean, it's a huge morale boost to have come off a nice 2-0 just when you thought that things would kind of get shaky for the team. But nonetheless, going into the bans right later, let's go ahead and review them real quick. So we have the Corky, the Braum, and the Gragas going to be taken off the board from Team Manila Eagles, while Cassiopeia, Syndra, and Rek'Sai, of course, will be taken away from Young Generation. So all very potent, powerful picks, as both teams, you know, after we're already in day 3, so all the teams, they're kind of aware of what champions each team is very, very proficient at. So I'm actually not as surprised that we're seeing more focused bans as opposed to the more typical bans like the Cho'Gath, the Maokai, which were more of the OP side. So, but yeah.
It's understandable for Young Generation to actually take away that Corky from Trevor, because that seemed to be his comfort pick the good pick to get him on a good start, a psyche pick for him. So right now TME, they are focusing actually on the top side, banning out the Nar, whereas Young Generation are really targeting Marky.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. And, you know, it's interesting because that flex idea wherein you'd think that the Lucian would be going AD carry, it's not real. It's pretty much obvious already that a lot of the teams, they most likely opt for a Lucian mid as opposed to thinking that it wouldn't be as much of a flex pick. So I like that regardless, Young Generation still making those extra steps to ban out Marky here. Twitch, we do know one of those champions that he's very efficient at. Lulu Nar or banned out from the side of Young Generation. You know, the Lulu with that utility, it would really work well with the overall composition that Young Generation has drafted thus far, especially with that Zac, the Cogmon, the Oriana. You know, a lot of chaos could go on with that composition if that Lulu was given. So it's interesting that they did ban that out from Palette. But looks like Young Generation will be banning out the Callista from Marky as well. So we'll just have to see what will Marky be bringing out. And yes, it is going to be the Saya, one of his signature champions that he is best known for in the Philippines. In fact, probably known as the best Saya in the Philippines today.
So this is going to be TME sticking towards the comfort pick of Marky. Whereas Young Generation, they did take away the Cogmount. The Cogmount that actually changed everything between the Developer Hunters. The fact that TME 2-0'd one of the consistent champions of Malaysia, the pride of Malaysia, Developer Hunters, this is good boost for them. Entering this game, they at least have a good night's rest. This is the first game, so this is all about TME. If they win this, they will be moving on to the knockout stage, one step closer, making it to Worlds.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that all the Filipino fans right now are probably really starting to give their energy to TME as the hope for the Philippines to make it to Worlds. But of course, the first seed of Vietnam not going to be giving this game quite as easily, as we have seen them as one of the very powerful teams going into the GPL right now, as expected of the Vietnamese region. But nonetheless, looks like the Renekton and the Janna going to be picked in for Young Generation, especially with Janna. Huge benefits when combined with the earlier Arden Sensor. So we'll just have to see how this goes for both teams.
Have you seen JLC on the Camille once?
Oh man, I can't even recall the last time I've even seen a JLC.
Or Camille, in fact. Interesting. Young Generation's Renekton top against Camille. Top of TME. Mid lane would be Trevor on that Lucian. Let us hope that Trevor does not falter or have any hiccups, because this game can shape everything. Because first game against the second seed of Vietnam, the little brother of Gigabyte Marines, this is big news for TME, because if ever they do make it to the first seed, it's great, but it's the fact that when they do make it to the first seed, at least they will be fighting off against Ascension. So this is actually better chances for TME, but we'll be seeing that in Rift itself, because so far, if I have to say the performance of the Team Manila Eagles, I would say the bot lane is consistent. The top lane last night with Coops, JLC and Coops shaped the whole clash, carrying Team Manila Eagles to a 2-0 victory. And let us see. JLC on Camille, Coops on Sejuani. This could be it.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was actually almost slightly surprised by the Camille pick. Then again, we have seen teams like Resurgence, for example, who really performed efficiently on the champion. But of course, nonetheless, looks like we'll have to hold all that off as we head into our first game for Day 3, the final day of the group stage for the Garena Premier League. Of course, once again, this is between Young Generation of Vietnam versus Team Manila Eagles of the Philippines, rather.
So this is going to be a very high-stakes game. The fact that Young Generation, when they move up to the knockout stage, in the end, they might fight out Team Manila Eagles again. So this is good exposure for the Eagles, especially the fact that Trevor will have to get comfortable knowing that they will be fighting, or may fight, Young Generation for the second time if they make it to the knockout stage. But so far things going, we are seeing that the jungler of Young Generation, Venus, will be going for the Raptors red, while as TME's side, Coops will be going for a blue and then Toad.
Yes, indeed. So interesting how there's not really that surprise element anymore. Wherein I remember the earlier days when Lucian mid was just kind of, it's just kind of starting, and teams will ultimately get thrown off into thinking that, it would be an AD carry. But now, clearly, it's much more readable now with a lot more games we're kind of seeing these solution mid, so you can't really deem it as that surprise flex pick anymore because it's almost more than you'd almost think that yeah this could most likely be evolution mid, but looks like we'll be holding off for just a little bit. We're just fixing a little bit of a technical difficulty, but no worries. We'll be bringing you all the action just when everything is all good.
So when we did see the bot lane, the Kog'Maw, this I hope for the sake of the Eagles that the Kog'Maw will not scale off late game, just
Oh,
what we
yeah.
saw between the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. So this is going to be a time-based game where your resilience will count your endurance, your stamina in this game. With the Young Generation picks that, they are going for the late game. Big Carl getting some love taps from Marky with rocks at the back. So this will be just TME trying to deny Big Carl's farm.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, regardless, like Rocks really took a little bit of damage right there, so they might want to be a little bit more careful, especially since Market wasn't able to get the stun onto Big Koro right there. So good positioning there by Big Koro to make sure that not only was he in the midst of damaging Rocks, but also just kind of moved around and positioned himself in a way that he wouldn't get stunned by Marky.
Yes, this is going to be the first time of the game. JLC gets kissed by the minion. It will be JLC burning that flash. Venus is going to be rewarded with a summoner down for the top lane of TME.
Yes, that is going to leave JLC a little bit more vulnerable to get with that flash down, and I'm not sure if he'll be just as lucky later on, so I'll have to be a little bit more careful until such time that Summoner is back. But then again, this could be remedied by Koops as well, as far as what rotations he could do to make sure that he alleviates some of that pressure that Venus could exert in that top lane.
I'm really scared for TME because they do lack the AP damage, whereas Young Generation, they have Naul on that Orianna, which is such a key element in a team fight. That one Shockwave and Resonance combo, Dissonance combo will be more than enough to delete Marky or Trevor. So TME, they really have to pick their fights correctly and smart, because if they overcommit and give now, let's say, a double or triple, that is going to be very difficult for TME to bounce back from.
I agree with you. You know, that's definitely something that TME has to take into account of. But nonetheless, regardless, if you're going to look at the composition that Young Generation has, there's just so many ways that you could actually catch TME off. But ooh,
Venus,
check
Sunday
out what's
coming, he
going on
does
here.
use the blast cone to get over those two gags from TME. So this will be another standoff. First blood still available. GLC might be the one to take it away because he is doing well against that Renekton. Renekton is on a timer itself, but GLC will have to wait for his time to shine. Let's say maybe when he reaches level 11. Level 6 wise, it will still be Renekton having that power spike.
And now that I notice, it's actually interesting that JLC, upon his back, went for the cloth armor. That's actually pretty good, you know, negating some of that damage against the Renekton during those small little duels 1v1 in that top lane. But yeah, I mean, going to the point I was trying to make earlier about the composition that Team Middle Eagles has, in contrast to the composition that Young Generation has, where if they get caught up, if Team Middle Eagles gets caught off, it's going to be very, very scary when you have elements such as the Zac, such as the Orianna, and to an extent, even that ultimate coming in from the Zonda to knock things out and kind of just orient Team Middle Eagles. But if you're going to look at their composition, you know, having that Lucian, having that Saya, wherein they have their own level of protection in the form of dashes, in the form of Saya's ultimate. So luckily, TME did go for those kind of champions, as opposed to the ones that are a little bit more immobile, that wouldn't grant them those type of escapes that they could have.
When it comes to mobility, they do have the luxury with the Zaya, the Lucian, and the Camille. So maybe the Shockwave will be more difficult for now to land. And also the fact that Big Moro might have a big time, but right now in the mid lane, Trevor, the danger of getting first blood. He does not yet give first blood. He does survive that tower dive. That is
Wow.
a first for Trevor.
That was crazy, but yeah, looks like Trevor will survive yet another day. But still,
Here comes, goes for the flashing gang. Ren flashing out of the danger. No more stacks for the Permafrost, so he will be surviving that gang with a first blood. Guaranteed by the Young Generation. This is bad news because Koops and JLC are counter-ganked and gets a taste of their own medicine.
Exactly, and just when we were talking about how yesterday they were kind of the key ingredients as to what made Team Illegals really pop yesterday. You know, being set back this early on is definitely going to be somewhat problematic for them. So we'll just have to see overall if this is something that they can recover from, especially since we have been seeing Venus quite across this map, you know, trying to make plays, trying to help complement these lanes into getting kills. So with Venus, with these two assists, it's definitely going to give him a push forward in comparison to Cooks that might need to try catch up.
Rush goes in for flash in. The stun will connect onto Pallet. Marky, no, it'll be Rocks taking away the kill for more value, but Marky should have gotten that, so this will be a 2-for-1 kill score. Marky getting an assist. He does come back with a BF sword, so more damage, better trade-offs, but let us see the replay, what happened in the top lane.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out what happened here. So JLC already low on mana, already tried to go for the chase, but then again, here comes Venus, actually gets the connect onto both members of Team Illegals. And as a result, you know, they could really go for this tower dive, especially since Venus did have his passive up, so that was very, very unfortunate for both members of Team Illegals.
This is what happens because when the Renekton reaches level 6, that is a huge power spike. Because this is the moment where Renekton shines the most, but let's wait out. Wait out the time where the Camille will outscale the Renekton in the late game, where Ren will be considered either useless if he does not speed Ren too much. He's 2-0 right now. A Phage and a Kindle Gem will finish up the Black Cleaver. So JLC responds now to the Ninja Tabi. He should at least get more offensive stats so that he can trade off better.
Yes, and that's the tricky part right here. Since JLC had to opt for that Ninja Tabi earlier on, in respect to the 2-0 that Ren has right now, it definitely minimizes that potential to not only duel out, but also to potentially pick out targets in a way. So we'll just have to see how that ultimately translates for TME in the later parts of the game with this deficiency.
Oh, TME might help out Trevor. We do see two members in the mid-river farm side of Young Generation, but they are just going to be pressuring the lane. So far, Ren is doing a really good job pressuring JLC, forcing him under his own turret, which makes him very difficult to farm for 71 to 50 CS. And now we're seeing that Coops and Rocks might commit to a very risky gank. Just get spotted by a ward, but in the top lane, Venus does take down JLC.
JLC definitely having a hard time right now because of this lead that both members of YG were able to establish. You know, he's just gonna get bullied in like there's no tomorrow. Plus the fact that they have all this confidence because of Venus still having that passive up. They didn't even need that passive actually to get that pick off JLC. So unless Coops does something to help relieve that, then JLC is ultimately not gonna have as much relevance in this early part of the game.
Burning another teleport, his turn is very low at the risk of giving first blood.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out the replay here though. So JLC just kind of trying to duel it out with Ren, but Venus actually been in the area, gets the knockup, and this is just basically a juggle at this point of the damage. You know, still very, very healthy members of YG here.
I love how Venus is doing his job pressuring the top lane, but here comes Trevor, trying to duel out now. Oh, the calling will connect. There's the cleanse. Coops a bit too late. May finish up that now. Oh, but here comes Rocks.
Yeah, a little bit too late for there. But yeah, this is one of the tricky parts right here.
No. Venus again with the top lane. JLC cannot catch a break. Here it comes. Venus again. 2-for-1. JLC using the early mana, trying to get away. The turn is very low, but it will be Venus catching him back with his elastic. But now Ren is chasing out JLC. This will be the first turn of the game going down to Young Generation.
Team Manila Eagles just not catching the break up against Young Generation here. And across the board, I gotta say, even right down to the idolization, Young Generation is playing it beautifully. If you're gonna look at it, between that duel between Naul and Trevor, one of the factors as to why Trevor wasn't able to take down Naul as fast was actually because of the fact that Naul going for the Seeker's Arm Guard earlier on to help negate a lot of that damage coming in from Trevor in the midst of trades. Very, very good move there.
So the kill score to 4-2. 11 minutes into the game. Young Generation does have a good start. First turn of the game. First blood all the way in the top lane. JLC will be sitting this one out. He will be waiting for his power spike, which may end up coming very late because of his deficit.
There looks like both members of Team A are going to be spotted out, though. So, nonetheless, 19 to 16 right now in terms of the goal deficit. Oh, Venus though.
Venus really sticking it to TME, trying to deny any sort of resources. Shutting down the top lane, completed. Now let's go towards the mid lane. This gives a lot of moving power for Venus. Trevor does get away with his relentless pursuit. You do see that the Rift Herald does get taken out by Ren. Solo Rift Herald. Young Generation really aiming to end this game as fast as they can. 12 minutes in, already a Rift Herald.
Definitely fantastic rotations coming here across the board from Young Generations, Vietnamese second seed. And I gotta hand it to them because Coops,
Shockwave, blood connect. Trevor goes all in, here comes Jesus, Johnny. Roxy there for the rescue. Now, pretty much alone. The purpose will stack up. Trevor still sticking it to now gets taken out by Trevor. JLC making towards the mid lane, but the fight's already done.
yes, that is going to be one kill onto the belt of Team Manila Eagles. Very good right there. You know, that could have been very, very scary, but nonetheless, that was a good juggle there by Team Manila Eagles. Trevor, you know, kind of weaving around, avoiding the damage that Mal could exert. So, you know, still very early to tell. Nonetheless, still very much balanced, I'd say.
It's very okay for DAB right now that the top lane Ren is 2-0. Black Cleaver in. Not a big problem just yet because looking at the goal distribution, we are seeing that now 1-2 KDA. CS not too far behind Trevor. Has yet to complete the Morello, while as Trevor has the Blade of the Ruined King. This is good news for TME. They can have better trade-offs, but I'm scared when Naol gets a good break, a good lead. That shockwave will be more than enough for TME to squirm.
Yes, indeed. And looks like Team Manila Eagles are actually exerting all the effort that they need because they do know for a fact that Young Generation very much across this map. Let's go ahead and check out what transpired here in the replay though. So Trevor actually managing to avoid the shockwave right there, and good response there from Coop, slowing down Venus from going on the full offense onto Trevor, which is why they weren't really able to take down Trevor as fast. So really good balance there, and as a result, they got that prize of that one kill on the mid laner fight.
Spaniards, TME facing off against that Rift Herald, who just effortlessly took down the bot lane turret. So this will be Ren moving around the map more freely without any problem. Whereas Naul will be going towards the top lane. JLC catching up slowly, but that deficit of a 116 to 98 CS is huge. The fact that Ren has 2 kills, this will further delay JLC's spike. Has yet to complete a TMF because his laning is right now is pretty sad. So this will be TME trying their luck on this Ocean Drake. Will they get it? We'll see. Young Generation is there. No word placed yet in the Drake, but it'll be Venus going home. This is going to be a blind Ocean Drake. Young Generation had no idea.
Quite surprising right there. I was almost anticipating that Young Generation would have almost had that premonition that Team Manila Eagles would be going for that. But then again, that is a good objective.
Karma is on to Ren. This is going to be TME returning the favor. Teleport coming in. JLC will join in the fight, but this is under the turret. Look at the damage being soaked up by rocks. The shockwave is there. The Hector Eliminator will not let Ren get away. Here comes the Feather Storm. A shot down for JLC. Marky is an assist from that, but it will be a double kill because that was overcommitment coming from TME. I don't think it's over just yet. Rock splashes over the brush side to avoid Venus.
That was way too risky indeed from the side of Team Manila Eagles. If you're going to look at their vision, their only telltale sign of whether or not a member of YG could be making their way towards box is that one bit control ward towards that brush near the inner turret. So that was very risky indeed because they had no information whatsoever on YG was in the midst of making that very gutsy move towards bot lane. And they have to take note, Ren is very much ahead.
Oh boy, Trevor's in big trouble. Rox is there for the cut-off with Venus left alone. Trevor's pretty mad. He's trying to take down Venus, but overcommits, gets knocked up, gets almost bursted down by Big Caro. Big Caro gets the double kill with the Monsoon for the reset. Mark cannot position himself properly. Big Caro is there. JLC for the long hook shot. Big Caro flashes over that. Big Caro gets a triple kill. Very low on health. Marky will not get a shot down. It will be JLC, but there's the passive with Ren for the backup. 5 members down for TME. This is the ace for Young Generation.
Man, that was crazy coming in from Young Generation right there. And I was actually wondering in the midst of that Monsoon coming in from Jana, whether or not she actually had that Ardent Center, but they didn't even need the Ardent Center passive to help them in that case. So very interesting here coming in from YG, and Team Manila Eagles really needs to start respecting Young Generation's team fight potential right now when they're kind of a bit ahead across the, rather quite behind across the board.
And this is Big Coro with a blade of the Ruined King, and will be building towards that Rage Blade. This Gokmao is going to be a Juggernaut because this is going to be Young Generation's main damage output. Ren will be retiring soon in the damage department, so this will be Big Coro stepping up. Whereas TME, JLC has yet to finish up this Trinity Force. 17 minutes into the game, but here is the replay.
Let's go ahead and check out what happened here. So TME really just inserting all that focus fire. Unfortunately, Trevor actually gets the passive basics on the camp right there, and as a result, they weren't able to take down Venus right away. But nonetheless, Big Koro here just free-hitting like there's no tomorrow. Focus firing onto Koro, but nonetheless, still the damage is absolutely insane, paired with the fact of that trauma support. So, I don't know, at this point, Team Manila Eagles, they just really need to start picking their fights wisely.
With the kill score to 12:05, this is 17 minutes, nearing 18 minutes. The Baron will be live in 2 minutes. So TME, they still have that tipping tool in a way that they do have the Baron buff for that saving grace. So this will be TME trying their luck. Ren and Venus spawn in top lane. Ren is doing really well with that Renekton. 3-1-4. Building towards the Omen, gonna be denying a lot of damage from Trevor and Marky, whereas Big Koro very close to that rage play. I presume that down top inside, it'll be Big Koro getting knocked into the air with JLC going for the Hex to eliminate. Immediately gets countered by the Monsoon. JLC and Coops should not have committed to that. TME falling apart with double kill going towards Big Koro.
And TME, I don't think they could pretty much deal with Big Koro right now. If you're going to look at everything said and done, the Janna ult, along with the Ardent Sensor, combined with the fact that Big Koro has his own form of lifesteal in the form of the Blade of the Rotate, he's absolutely, just can't take him down at this point, unless you could get some sort of isolation onto him where you could like outnumber him and then just focus fire him, but I don't think that's really a case that Young Generation is giving to TME right now.
They may try to defend the inhibitor turret. Ooh. Coops with the Glacial Prison on 3 members. There is the slow, but not enough damage to follow around. Big Koro remains untouched. Rux goes into it with the knockoff. Big Koro shielded by Pallet. This will be damage over time with Big Koro not even landing any damage onto him. A double kill with only Trevor remaining. This will be Young Generation ending the game before the Baron may spawn. 4 members down for TME. Inhibitor turret, and the inhibitor is gone in the bot lane.
And this is just Team Manila Eagles at this point. The gold lead is just absolutely insane right now. 13,000 gold difference, and we're not even 20 minutes into, we're only heading into 20 minutes into the game. That's substantially huge, and when you have an inhibitor down, it's like, at this point, Team Manila Eagles needs a hope and a prayer that Young Generation would just kind of make some major slip-ups by themselves. But with the play, with the way they've been playing it so beautifully, even when it comes to the rotations, even right down to the itemization, the control, absolutely all in Young Generation's court. That there's just no other way to put it but to say that Young Generation played this game, played Team Manila Eagles almost like a fiddle throughout this entire game.
This is the second seed of Vietnam. This is what you expect from the little brother of the Gigabyte Marines. With the Baron live, Young Generation will be trying to take this away, because if they do take this Baron from TME, they can already end the game, because that Baron buff could be everything. And with a goal lead of 13,000, that is huge.
Their GLC actually,
GLC could not catch a break, really getting shut down in the top lane, finally finishing off that crazy force.
and again, this is one of those problems that Team Manila Eagles might have. But it's like a siege is happening here, coming in from Young Generation, and the tower, look at how fast it's going down.
And this is without the amount of Drake, so this is the raw damage that Young Generation has, especially Big Koro on that Koma. TME, this is their last time. Glacial Prison on to 3 members for the slow zone with Trevor for the calling, but that's the reset from the Janna. Big Koro remains untouched with rocks. Very low in health now. Oh, will be securing the kill. Big Koro, great job on that Kog'Maw for a double kill with Trevor. trying to save his own life, but will be forced to give that triple. And I think this is game set with Young Generation. A considerable victory against TME, the second seed of Vietnam, staying true to their name, defeating Team Manila Eagles.
Man, oh man, oh man. Looks like that will be the game indeed. Congratulations once again to Vietnam's second seed, Young Generation, for securing yet another win here in the group stage for the Garena Premier League.
Congratulations to Young Generation for securing their victory. So this is gonna further solidify their spot in the first standing. Whereas Team Manila Eagles, they do still have a chance to make it towards the knockout stage in their next game with Resurgence. So to all those fans out there for Team Manila Eagles and supporting the Philippines in the GPL, watch out for the game between Resurgence and TME. This can determine if TME will be moving on to the knockout stage.
Well, we're just going to have to look forward to that. But nonetheless, just a quick touch on right there. If we're going to look at the last clash right there, Team Manila Eagles, everything actually worked in their favor as far as the composition that they have. As far as the set, it was great. But then again, at the end of the day, because they were so behind, regardless of that great setup coming in from Coops, from Rocks, you know, great follow-ups, but at the end of the day, it just didn't really count because of how ahead Young Generation was. So let's say if Team Manila Eagles makes it out of the group stage, they definitely have to really start flexing some muscles a bit more if they want to even make it to Worlds at this point.
So this will be concluding the first game of the last day of the group stages with Young Generation securing the victory against Team Manila Eagles. We have been a Shoutcaster, I am Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We'll be seeing you in the next game, but I know you guys, for the Philippines out there, are watching out for the TME game. Stay tuned for that. That will be the Resurgence of TME, but we'll be moving on to the next game after the short break. Good afternoon, everyone, and we welcome you back to the Garena Premier League Summer 2017. I am Vulcan, and with me is Iconic. We will be your shoutcasters for the second game when we came back from that first game between TME and Young Generation.
Yeah, so that was a really interesting game. Vietnam not even surrendering a single turret that game. It was pretty one-sided, if you ask me.
It was pretty much a stop for me because
Yeah,
Young Generation further showing the others out there that they really belong here, despite being the new team in the GPL scene. I gotta say, this is scary for the other teams to actually stay here in the GPL for quite some time.
yeah. Especially them punishing JLC as well. The teams are kind of learning that they should focus more on the side lanes of TME. But enough of that. Let's go into the pick and bans of Resurgence versus Headhunters.
So Resurgence, I gotta say, this is the team that has been not so consistent, but it does matter. But they do win games that do matter. But if ever they do win this game, the TME is actually at the risk of getting a tiebreaker with Resurgence because this will shape up the last day of the group stages. So I think Resurgence would really like their spot in the second seed, so they'll be fighting up against the Headhunters, who have not been performing that well in this GPL.
Yeah, Resurgence need to win this game to get a better chance into securing a slot in the knockout stages, either versus the Gigabyte Marines or Ascension Gaming. So I feel like when we saw the Headhunters play yesterday with that Graves pick, it was more of just like a comfort pick for Chris Kyle. We saw how it was kind of a very solo queue-ish, how he played it,
Pick it again.
and I think we might see it again, actually. So Headhunters coach probably just telling them, pick whatever makes you comfortable, try to get as much experience as possible, because right now Headhunters, they're just playing for experience, but Resurgence, they're playing for
Be still
a slot in the knockout stage. So the question is right now, can Headhunters deny Resurgence this win? Or
Let's see though, because this is Headhunters. We did see their drafts where Chris Kyle got almost all the kills, so I wonder if they will pull up the same thing. So if Resurgence wins this game, it's a do or die scenario for TME because this is big because if ever Resurgence wins this, TME's safeties is gonna have to win it because it's going to be a scenario where TME will have to do everything they can to actually make it towards the knockout stage. But ending their first picking phase, we are seeing Resurgence on a Zac, Thresh, and a Callista.
yeah, so very solid bot lane. They do know that Janna's already picked up, and I feel like securing a very aggressive bot lane is the key to actually dealing with a Janna. And then we kind of have a jugger composition as well. You know how strong Janna is right now in this patch with the Ardent Sensor. She can reset fights, restore the ADC to full HP. And I feel like this kind of reset is what you want, especially for a Kog'Maw who lacks mobility. So we have no mid laners or top laners selected yet so far. And the bans are pretty split, but Headhunters prioritizing the Lucian and the Jace. Both really strong flex picks. We have seen Jace being played mid and top throughout the first 3 days of this tournament. And Lucian, we have seen him a lot in mid lane, but who knows? They might pull out something cheesy and play him in the top lane.
But so far as ban goes, it will be a Jace, Lucian, Shen, and Corki banning out for the second phase. So Resurgence has yet to secure their top laner. There it is. It will be a Cho'Gath in the hands of Resurgence, followed by a Syndra. Interesting power picks coming from Resurgence. Whereas the Headhunters will be going for more of a team clash orientation where they do have strong engages and disengages to reset team fights. But we will be seeing Patrick on that Kassadin.
Yeah, so the Kassadin is very strong in this matchup because he can just slowly trade away with his null void spears just to protect him from the dark spears coming out from the Syndra. So as long as he can make it to like the mid-late game, he can start carrying his team. But I feel like Headhunters are putting too much right now in the late game. They have a really heavy scaling comp with the Kog'Maw and the Kassadin. So it's all up to Chris, Kyle, and Box to actually make sure that a lot of the pressure is applied onto Resurgence so that things don't get out of control.
I gotta say, for a Resurgence, their draft looks really scary. Very solid, but the Headhunters, the fact that they have that Juggernaut is something that you have to watch out for. We did see that in the first game of the group stages of day 3, the last day. The Young Generation completely wiped the floor with that composition, and that Janna was such a huge block, a huge barricade towards TAB from even engaging. So I wonder how Resurgence, this is going to be the do-or-die game. They want to win this.
Yeah, so Resurgence, it's also all up to their bot lane. Their bot lane is practically a kill lane with a Kalista Thresh. You want to land those hooks, you want to get the kills, you want to make sure that this Kog'Maw doesn't scale. The Janna is safe, but the moment the hook lands, it's fair game for the Kalista and the Thresh.
It's going to be game over for Resurgence if they do not dominate the bottom lane, whereas in the Headhunters, they have the saving grace in the bot lane. So far Headhunters, they're fighting for experience, right? But Resurgence, it's the two sides of the coin, where we're seeing a team very determined to make it to the play-in stage, knockout stage, whereas the other team, like, we want to have experience. So two sides of each different teams.
Yeah, but I feel like what you want as Headhunters as well is to try to end the tournament with a win, because it will help your morale boost. Coming out from this tournament, you'll still have like, hey, at least we didn't lose our last game in the GPL. We can go back to practice with our heads held high. And yeah, I feel like regardless of whether you have a chance of making it through or not, you still have to take every game seriously.
Yes, and this will be Resurgence against the Headhunters. Chris, Kyle, and Lee Sin. Whereas we're going to be seeing Ruben and Cruisers, Kog'Maw and Janna duo.
Yeah, so the top lane is going to be a really farm-heavy lane. But you can expect that the Gnar will take the advantage because of the range melee matchup. But Rock, actually not opting for a Doran Shield, will be crazy healthy in this matchup. Usually what you see nowadays is people get Doran's Ring on the Cho'Gath to make sure that you can sustain enough from the passive by getting a lot of HP and a lot of mana regen as well.
And this will be the Gnar against that Cho'Gath, where I see that as Rock is going to be having a really difficult time, especially that Gnar is going to kite him beyond his own reach. Cho'Gath has really short range compared to a Gnar.
Yeah, Cho'Gath's range is really low, but the question is, can he sustain? The question right now is, Box, can he put enough pressure onto Rock to start creating a CS lead? And can Rock actually hit him with the skill shots? Because you already have to deal with this really hard to land skill shots, and you also have a Gnar that has decent mobility and a really small hitbox.
And we are seeing that this matchup is more on who gets the level 6 first. If you see in the top lane, if Gnar gets the level 6, he's going to be this threat with his super CC to the wall, whereas Rock will have that feast. But also in the mid lane, Patrick is having a difficult time against this Syndra, but not as difficult as other mid laners. But if ever level 6 does happen for Intreso, I don't think Patrick can escape from those unleashed powers.
Yeah, but the thing is, right now, Patrick does actually have the upper hand because he has been chunking out Intreso a lot. Intreso has no more potions. We will expect Patrick to actually recall in a bit. Maybe after Chris Kyle does something in the mid lane.
No word spotted in the river for Resurgence. It'll be Intreso flashing away, but the shockwave will connect. It will be a resonating strike, but gets denied with the Scarred Awake teleport coming in from the top lane. Rock will be joining in, but with Box flanking into the rest. So now with the Turtle very low, also for Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle will begin the first blood to Eternal. There is the Cell Division. Patrick trying to jump and touch me down. It'll be Patrick taking the kill with his flash being spent for a trade-off, and with Box being slowed by those Vorpal spikes. It will be a disengage with a 1-for-1 trade. The first blood going towards Resurgence.
Yeah, but one thing you have to take note is Headhunters have the double buff secured for them.
It's on Patrick.
on Patrick as well, and Patrick still has his teleport, so he will be able to teleport back into this lane and then get the EXP lead over Intresso. One thing you can also take note is that Patrick was the one who got the kill, and Intresso just got an assist. You also have the TP advantage for Box as well, so right now I think that is a net win for Headhunters, even though they lost out a little bit on the gold.
The Ignite is on to Ruben. Ruben will be getting away safely under his own turret. But with the kill from the mid lane, it looks like Patrick goes straight for the blasting wand. That is good news for Patrick. He will be trading up more favorably, whereas Intresso picks up the Dark Seal and boots.
Yeah, you want those combat stats coming out from the blasting wand. People usually, when they go for the Rod of Ages, they believe that Catalyst is better, but the thing is, with Catalyst doesn't give you the combat stats that you need. So look here, actually what happened was a lot of denied skill shots and a lot of missed skill shots coming out from Headhunters. Chris Kyle will, as you can see, he goes for Eternal. The boomerang missed from Box, and then Chris Kyle misses his Q again, and then the flash coming out from Rock. So it was really good that they were able to secure the double buffs still. Like, Rock was able to wasn't able to get the kill. The kill actually went on to Eternal, so the double buff transfer went to the Zac, and then it went to Patrick. So it was actually net win for Headhunters if they can capitalize on this.
And with a double buff in the hands of Patrick, I think Eternal wants what his is back. Here comes the gang from Eternal. The skill shots will not connect onto Patrick. Patrick, without the double buff, will back away, so Eternal's revenge will not happen.
Yeah, but what's curious here right now is look at the CS lead that Intresso has over Patrick. It's almost non-existent. The moment this wave will crash, if Patrick can get all of the minions, they'll be even in CS, and that's actually a minor gold lead in favor of Patrick.
And when we're talking about CS, look at that top lane. 44 to 29, it will be Box really controlling the lane, having the advantage against Rock. So, junglers-wise, I think Chris Kyle got a really good start on that first gank for assist. Whereas Eternal will have more powerful engages, but it's the fact that Chris Kyle is a more mobile jungler, more quick cast compared to a Zac.
Yeah, the top lane CS lead actually started when Rock lost top lane priority, had to teleport for that first blood fight, and then what happened was Box actually teleported back to the top lane, and then Chris Kyle immediately ganked the top lane and forced Rock to back again. So Rock actually lost out on 2.5 wave of minions, and that's actually why Box is so far ahead.
The fact that Box really picked well against that Cho'Gath. I mean, even if the Cho'Gath gets the Righteous Glory Rush, I don't think he can really catch a Gnar to begin with that leap. And the fact that Gnar has that mechanic where he becomes Mega Gnar and completely deny the engage coming from Rock.
Yeah, I feel like what happened was the main problem there was they shouldn't have taken that really extended fight. One of the peculiar things there is that Intresso's pathing was very weird. Instead of going straight to the jungle, he starts walking towards the river and then gets met by Box's boomerang. And then he ends up not doing anything as well. And they should have realized that they didn't have top lane priority, so Rock actually was put in a really awkward spot and is now being punished for it with almost a 20 CS lead.
It's the small things that can lead to big results, big changes in how the laning phase can do. The teleport should not be this big deal, but in this GPL scene, it's huge. So this is going to be more on, let's see, how resourceful you are, how clever you are in using what you have.
Yeah, I like how Headhunters as well are really good at punishing the usage of the early flashes and that early teleport. They immediately punish Rock, they immediately punish Intresso, and Eternal needs to do something to actually even tip the scales towards their favor again, because right now it seems like Headhunters have the momentum.
The momentum is on their side, so they do have some good start, but it's about how you can keep that start and lead it on, because that advantage you have right now can change. And now we're seeing Chris Kyle over that wall. There is a ward, but it is cancelled by a control ward. Rock will be going back. It will be Chris Kyle trying to force a gank here, but we do see Intresso. Chris Kyle goes there, bursting out hell, and here comes the Unleashed Power. Intresso with a combo will take down Box.
I like how Intresso realizes that he will have a hard time killing Patrick. Patrick does have that null magic mantle, has that ruby crystal, so a lot of extra HP coming out. So if he does use his Unleashed Power, it might not be as effective compared to a naked Gnar.
Corona Patrick trying to punish Intresso. He does have the blue buff, so he will be poking a lot to Patrick, but it's that ruby crystal, as you said, and the innate shield, magic shield from the Kassadin's kit will really favor Patrick. But with level 6 reach, Intresso has no ultimate. Patrick is using this time to really punish Intresso.
Yeah, so they did that gank onto Box to try and achieve something, but sadly, the CS lead is still there for Box. The waves weren't favorable enough. Sure, they got the kill, but they didn't actually deny Box too much CS. They didn't put him in a really bad spot. Sure, they got Rock a little bit more experience to close the gap between them, but I feel like Box is still way far ahead by maybe half or even 25% of a level, and this could be something big in the future, because as you can see, as we were talking about, that Box just hit level 7 while Rock is newly level 7 as well. So the gap closing, but we will see if they can actually do something about it later on.
The battle of the better shoes right here. We're seeing that Rock rushing that Tabby to deny some AD, and we see that Rock actually finishing up getting the Ruby Crystal for more defensive stats, well as Box getting the more offensive stats with the Longsword and the Mercury Thread. So height-wise, it'll still be Box having the huge advantage, and now their blue buff for the Headhunters might be taken away.
It would have actually been interesting if we saw Gentleman Gnar versus Gentleman Cho'Gath in top lane. That would have been, you know, something like they could have done to make it a little more cute and interesting.
But it'll be a flash actually being denied by Ruben. His flash got caught off by Eternal. What a play from Eternal to deny any form of escape for Ruben.
Yeah, that was a beautiful flash predict from Ares, landing the hook even when Ruben threw his flash upwards. So good job on him actually catching the Kog'Maw.
It's like his flash didn't even make him move at all. But with this said, thanks to the kill onto Ruben, it'll be Resurgence taking away the first blood, going all the way to Ciela for a 650 gold. Patrick going in, it will be Eternal responding while Ares is behind him. Look at Cruz trying his best to save his mid laner. Patrick will be getting the heal and trying to take down Intresso, but with two members, physical damage onto you, it's very difficult, but the exhaust is there for the save. Patrick survives that thanks to his combat defensive stats with the Catalyst.
Yeah, and Chris Kyle has been missing these sonic waves that actually matter. That could have been, he could have done something there had he landed that sonic wave. So right now, Headhunters, they are slowly losing the momentum that they got from that really good early 3v3 skirmish. And the question is, how will they keep this Kalista under control? Because the Kalista was able to get solo turret gold, and she's already a Bilgewater Cutlass up against her counterpart.
And now with the Blade of the Rune King not too far behind, but let's see the replay between Rock and Chris Kyle.
So actually a lot of fighting here, and they commit a lot. They actually might get Rock, but the thing is, this fight, Patrick, they could have gone onto him had the Sonic Wave actually landed. They could have gone onto either Ares or Eternal, popped his Cell Division, and then took out a really important cooldown for the side of Resurgence. Maybe get Dragon priority out of that.
Yeah, the first Drake is Mountain, really one of the high priority Drakes, but one of the most risky Drakes to take if you're not ready. And right now, I don't think it will be Headhunters risking that. They have yet to complete the Blade of the Rune King for Ruben. He does not have any form of lifesteal and damage, so this will be Resurgence controlling the bot lane.
Yeah, I feel like it's also very scary because Rock does have that feast, which is 1000 true damage. He can outsmite Chris Kyle until Chris Kyle's level 18. So I feel like they want to get rid of Rock before trying for that mountain rig. If they keep their eyes on that.
Why with a fake check and a double CC? Oh, that's a bit too much for Resurgence. Really not showing mercy towards Ruben. Just forced to sit it out and watch the world burn in front of him with Entresto to finish off his support. What a huge lockdown.
Yeah, they're not giving Ruben any time to scale. Remember, we were talking about like in the pick and ban phase how Ciela and Ares have to shut down Ruben and Crusher. And so far, it's been a really effective way. Look at how the kill participation coming out from Ares, 3 already. But one person I must commend right now for Resurgence is Entreso. 100% kill participation. He is 3-0 and 2, and he might add one more.
Oh boy, look at the Blastcock being denied. Entresto play Chris Kyle like a ping pong ball. Only Patrick going over that wall with his Rift Walk to avoid danger.
Yeah, but the combo coming out from Headhunters is still really strong because they do have a Gnar. If that Gnar can set something up for his team, they have a ton of AoE damage to deal with the Resurgence composition.
So far, with a timer at 13 minutes and 20 seconds into the game, kill score 5-2 with Resurgence having the advantage. Goal lead of, let's see, not that significant, just 2,000, but it's the fact that Ciela has the gold advantage, more item advantage. He did not complete his Blade of the Ruined King, picks up another dagger.
Yeah, so he's actually opting for a Wit's End instead. Because I feel like that's actually smart. Because 3 out of the 5 members of Resurgence actually deal a lot of magic damage. Cho'Gath, Zac, and the Syndra. So he wants to try beefing up a little bit with that magic resist, just to make sure he doesn't get insta-give by anyone.
I don't understand Ruben's build with the Negatron Cloak being rushed.
Yeah, that's for the Wit's End actually. Yeah, so the Wit's End will come out, and then I feel like it does make sense to prioritize it because if he doesn't get any early magic resist, he will become useless until he gets 2 to 3 items.
But it further delays his damage output and his sustain, especially with he does have that his kit permits him to attack so fast, so his lifesteal really matters here.
Yeah, I feel like the Ardent Sensor can mitigate some of the lack of lifesteal because you do have a drain HP when you have the Ardent Sensor. And a minor perk of getting the Wit's End as the first item is Patrick will be able to deal more damage. So what will happen is he will prioritize the Wit's End. It's going to become a second item, Runan's Hurricane. So he'll be shredding 3 targets mana resistance. And then that will give way for Patrick to actually deal more AoE magic damage. But again, this is all situational. It's hypothetical whether or not Ruben can actually survive the initial engage coming out from Resurgence. It's really on to Crusher to deny the engage, deny the Righteous Glory Cho'Gath, deny the jump coming out from Eternal Envy, and also the Faith's Call coming out from Ciela and Ares. So Crusher has his work cut out for him this game.
So far, the Rift Herald will be taken away by Resurgence. No visions for Headhunters. This will be uncontested, so Resurgence do have the advantage when it comes to the objective. 2 turrets, 1 Drake, and now the Rift Herald for Resurgence. So Headhunters, I wonder what's their game plan here. Chris Kyle likes to play it, as you said, very solid Q. Here comes that set, that's the next thing. Onto Ruben, what a nightmare to be a Kog'Maw in this game. A huge setback for the bot lane of Headhunters.
Yeah, their bot lane is already 0 and 5 collectively.
Righteous Glory for the slow rock. Flash a bit too early. Chris Kyle was still able to connect to him with his resonating strike. With the Mega Gnar stunning him towards the wall, tanking the turret. The knockup is there, but it will be Chris Kyle, perhaps,
Box
despite
dies.
some time, and for a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, so Box actually taking 1 extra hit. Box also missed his stun as well. And had he landed that stun, he wouldn't have died.
That is a bit of a setback for Resurgence. Actually, Headhunters because they are giving Rock another trade-off, so he is not going to be far behind. And it's the fact that Box right now is 0-3 with a Black Cleaver finish.
Yeah, and one thing you have to take note of with this Gnar versus this Cho'Gath is the Gnar is not going to build defensively because he still needs his Frozen Mallet to become relevant. Gnar is one of the tanks in this game that doesn't get any magic resist or armor until the 3rd item, which is something that you'd usually see as well in a Jarvan. But the thing is, Jarvan already provides a lot of utility compared to Gnar. He has this innate tanky ability as well with the Golden Aegis to shield himself. He gives a lot of attack speed to his team. So I feel like Box is gonna keep on dying for a while. Chris Kyle as well. Not a lot. No one's actually very tanky on the side of Headhunters. I feel like the tankiest member right now is actually Patrick.
That's very ironic for the mid laner of Headhunters to be the frontliner, so it'll be Box really delaying his defensive stats, but he does have the Mega Gnar form, but that's just a periodic buff, so it's not really reliable. Once you're in Mini Gnar, you're very squishy, you're very vulnerable, but it'll be Resurgence catching up on that timing. We see Eternal might go in for a tower dive, changes his mind, the turret is still there. Patrick will rift walk away from the death sentence.
Yeah, and they do get to hold this turret because one thing you can take note of is Resurgence's Siege isn't crazy strong. And the wave crit coming out from Patrick is strong enough to actually deal with it.
And look at Rock. He can't even get away from that, but here comes Eternal with a 2-man knockup and a Let's Bounce to deliver the package to his Resurgence. Eternal is very low. He will be flashing away, but Cielo will clean up the act with Ruben taking away, however, a kill. Cielo will try to back up Patrick with the respawn and the
Cielo
teleport.
might go down.
He will be going down, giving the double kill to Patrick.
So I feel like Headhunters need Patrick to hard carry them right now because all the gold is on him. He is the scaling mid laner as well that needs to get the items. So we'll see how Patrick can carry his team on his shoulders.
I wonder if Patrick will be actually this spotlight. Like, he will build a Roa, now he's going for the Lich Bane. Damage-wise, Headhunters has this assassin in the mid lane, but that assassin needs this front line. I really am waiting for Box to really scale up. He is going for that Frozen Mallet path, so I wonder, will this be the time where Headhunters can bounce back?
Yeah, and I do like the Spectre's Cowl itemization coming out from Patrick, just to make sure that he won't get insta-gibbed by any of these. By again, the triple magic damage coming out from Resurgence. It's really smart. I feel like Headhunters know where they are right now and how they should play this game. Nice and slow, wait to scale, and then they actually might stand a chance against the composition of Resurgence. Because late game, I feel like you need to be scared of this Kassadin. You need to be scared of this Kog'Maw empowered with the Janna, and then Chris Kyle being a tanky frontliner who will peel for this Kog'Maw as well. So I wonder if Resurgence are aware of this, and right now it seems like Resurgence just want to stay the course. So you see that Eternal goes for a full dive, but what happens is Crusher is the target of Cielo instead of Patrick. I feel like Cielo should have actually prioritized Patrick over Crusher because Crusher already used his Monsoon, he already used his Summoners, and had Patrick died there instead of Crusher, it would have been a different story. A little bit of missed target selection coming out, poor target selection coming out from Cielo.
And this will be the second Drake of the game. Resurgence with the stabs from the Mountain Drake. 2 Mountain Drakes, that's going to be huge. And now, face call, front 2. Ruben. I feel sorry for Ruben right now. It is the worst time to be a Kog'Maw when you're seeing a Kalista, a Thresh. And now with Ruben gone, no more ADC, go for the Baron, but will they go for a steal?
Yeah, so Patrick does go down. Chris Kyle tries to go for the steal, but then fails the steal and loses his life in the process as well. So right now, things are looking very grim for Headhunters. You can see that we already have 13 stacks on the Magi Soul Stealer for Entreso. Entreso will be getting a lot of gold efficiency out of this Medjai Soul Stealer if he gets those 15 stacks, getting that movement speed boost. And right now, Impresso is very, very scary with all that magic pen. Again, we were talking about Box not having the defensive stats. He will be the #1 target right now for Impresso because all of the other members of Headhunters do have magic resistance aside from Crusher as well.
I'm really scared for Patrick because he will be the center stage. He will be the high priority, as we saw what happened in the Baron area. So right now, Resurgence, they do have 2 mountains and a Baron. This is huge. They will capitalize on that Baron and really squeeze that buff till the last round. I bet they can take down the whole base.
Yeah, this looks like they're just committing 5 people to top lane.
They have the mountain. They can do this.
And they can brute force it as well.
Look at that. Without even a minute or 30 seconds, they are taking out that turret. Let's see. My god, that turret is not even lasting. It will be Headhunters trying to retaliate. Lander is there for the safeguard. Already half HP down.
Yes, and all they need to do right now is just wait for the next wave to come through, and they will be able to chip this turret even more. And one thing to take note of is that they have a lot of hard engage coming out from Resurgence, so they can choose, they will go for it the moment this turret does go down.
Patrick cannot even go in without the risk of his life. This will be the last stand for the Headhunters. So the death set is connecting onto Box, but with Rock prioritizing Patrick, gobbles him up, and I think the Headhunters are scrambling around. They do not have their main carry. They don't know what to do. With Resurgence taking advantage of this confusion, will take down the inhibitor.
I'm confused as well because Patrick wasn't silenced, but he just randomly walked up to the enemy team and then immediately took 60%, 70% of his HP.
And one piece is more than enough to clean him up. So this will be Resurgence actually rushing this Nexus turret, really aiming to end this game as fast as they can, but without any risk. There will be a reset for this.
Yeah, so like right now you can see that Resurgence is taking their time, and Impresso 17 stacks already on that Medjai Soul Stealer, has the needlessly large rod as well. It has so much damage, so much magic penetration. It's going to be so hard for Headhunters to actually withstand his damage, let alone the damage of Ciela, who is 5-1 and 3.
And I don't think Patrick is actually the only member performing really well in a way, because look at the CS 227 with a build path of 3 locked items, whereas we are seeing Box has yet to complete the Frozen Mallet.
So as you can see right there, Patrick, for some reason, put your eyes on Patrick. Patrick randomly walks up. He's silenced, and then he walks up instead of walking back. And then just instantly dies. Eternal instantly removes the Gnar away from the fight as well, and CL is just free to go where he pleases.
And now with the Barons gone, not just yet, pretty soon. So this will be Resurgence trying for the mid lane and perhaps the bot lane.
As you can see right now, Ciela is already building a small minion wave in the bottom lane. The moment this will crash, they will be able to take the bot lane tier 2, and then they can make both waves crash together in the mid lane and bot lane if they tap the wave right. If they play the minion, if they manage the wave right and take this turret at the exact right time.
So far, Headhunters forced to defend the top lane because of those super minions. Resurgence with the assistance of the Mountain Drake and the burst.
Yeah, Impresso 3-shotting Crusher.
Oh boy,
not
Patrick,
having any magic.
oh my goodness, look at that damage coming from the Feast with Impresso completing up the kill. So this will be the Headhunters losing towards Resurgence, and Resurgence winning a very crucial point in their chances towards the knockout stage.
Yeah, I gotta commend Impresso having a perfect game, snowballing like crazy. Even though they lost that level 1, the first 3v3 skirmish, they still ended up not conceding a lot out of that and actually flipping the script on Headhunters and taking them out.
With that said, the Headhunters having a hard time here. The 3 inhibitors will be taken down though, without any much resistance. Patrick again, a bit too curious, forced the Rift walk away. Very low on health. Beast not yet available with Eternal. Very low on health will be Intreso, fending them off with Chris Kyle, being a bit too fearless.
Yeah, but they are playing very safe. They don't want to take unnecessary risks. They will go for this Ocean Drake. All they want to do is just deny this Drake again, try to get the reset, maybe get the 3rd Mountain Drake. But I feel like they just need to wait for the Baron. The moment Baron comes up, they get it. They have a lot of ways to secure the Baron with the Cho'Gath and the Ren coming out from Ciela. So I feel like Chris Kyle needs to make a miracle steal and survive
But the Miracles,
for them to actually have a chance to defend this.
if they do get the Baron, however, for the Headhunters, is that going to be it? Because as we are seeing right now, their base, 2 inhibitors down, 1 Nexus turret gone. I don't think Resurgence will let this.
I feel like Resurgence want to end this game now. You see that Rock has committed his teleport onto the bottom lane. Chris Kyle does use his Dragon's Rage, but that doesn't deal any damage to a Cho'Gath as tanky as this.
And the sustain from his passive will regenerate him back quickly. So that's 1 ultimate down for Chris Kyle. 1 more to go for the Headhunters, because 1 more turret down for them. This will guarantee Resurgence victory.
And as you can see, the moment Baron does come up, they will all go for it. I don't know why Rock chose to use his teleport at bottom lane, but I guess when you're this far ahead, you can use your teleport however you want, because unless Headhunters pull off a miracle defense, it looks like they have no chance of winning this game.
This will be a Resurgence further nailing the coffin to H2, the Headhunters. And with the Baron in hands for them, this will be their concluding fight with Patrick left alone. Let's see the master predictions. Oh, the predictions are not that on point, but I don't think you need much predictions when you have a huge AoE stun. With Patrick gone, the key member of the Headhunters, and with only 1 Nexus turret remaining, this will be Resurgence ending the game and Headhunters.
Yeah, Chris Kyle though, still surviving, still preserving his KDA. So at least Chris Kyle gets a better KDA than, you know, most of his teammates. I do feel bad for Ruben and Treasure because they weren't able to do much this game.
So with that said, this will be Resurgence securing their victory against the Headhunters in Game 2 of the last day of the group stages. Congratulations to Resurgence. They will have another game. That will be the last game actually for TME.
Do or die.
Resurgence. This will be a do or die scenario. You guys should look forward to watching that, but let's get back to the game. I mean, Patrick was the only member, in my opinion, trying to fight back strong.
I feel like the Box did a good job as well. Like, I have to commend Chris Kyle, Box, and Patrick. They were performing really well. But the thing is, their bot lane just lost it for them. Ruben and Crusher weren't feeling it today. They ended up losing the bot lane so hard. Remember, the Callisto Crash, you can't allow them to get a single kill or else they'll snowball out of control. And that's what they did. And
yeah, the 1 single kill was kind of confusing because I thought that Ruben would have actually good laning pace, judging by how it went, but after the first kill, just snowball after snowball.
yeah, sadly the 3v3 skirmish that they won wasn't good enough for to put Headhunters that far ahead that they could just steamroll it. So Ciela and Ares doing a really good job in the bottom lane.
So guys, there you have it with Resurgence securing the victory against Headhunters. This concludes the Game 2 with their victory. We have been your Shoutcasters. I am Vulcan, and with me is Iconic. We'll be back after a short break for the continuation of the GPL Summer 2017.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the Garena Premier League 2017 summer season as we head into our third game for the last day of the group stage. Of course, before anything else, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Arcticatio Service Fam as your caster, and with me, of course, is Iconic. And wow, oh wow, of course, for this game, it is going to be Vietnam's Young Generation versus Malaysia's Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Although, technically, there isn't really that much of a heavy bearing on this game.
No bearing whatsoever, actually.
But yeah, nonetheless, of course, let's go ahead and check out our standings, I believe. Yes, it is going to be the standings. In first, of course, is Young Generation at 6-1. Next, of course, tied actually for second is Team Manila Eagles and Resurgence, both at 4-3. Fourth, of course, Kuala Lumpur Hunters at 3-4. And of course, finally is Hunters at 1-7. So it's actually, for this particular game, as you did mention, there's no bearing whatsoever. Regardless of what happens, Young Generation does go in as the first seed to go up against Ascension Gaming, while it's actually our next game that follows after this, the one between Team Manila Eagles and Resurgence, that'll ultimately determine who will be going up against the Gigabyte Marines as the second seed coming out of the group stage for the Garena Premier League. Whew.
Yeah, so we'll see what will happen in this game, but frankly, whatever happens, and it won't affect too much. I feel like this game, I want to see both teams actually pull out tricks like Timo, Heimerdinger, you know, because I'm sure both teams understand that this game has no bearing. So I feel like they can have a little bit of fun with it, you know, see our crowd favorite Yasuo come out, see some play, maybe Urgot, you know, fun things that'll give our viewers an interesting time.
Yeah, like those very interesting pocket picks. You know how some pros, they have these very unorthodox, crazy picks that they suddenly see, but they...
Nami mid.
There you go, there you go. Come on, fingers crossed, guys. Come on, guys. Give us something interesting for today.
Yeah, because sometimes when teams know that there's no bearing to a game, and they don't want to get like serious serious game time, they just play for fun because it's on stage as well. And that's something I look forward to, because like they can always scrim like behind the scenes, but rarely do they get to play like really fun champions in front of more than 1,000 viewers.
Exactly. I think we've seen somewhat of the same trend. If I'm not mistaken, that was in the LCS, wherein there was a match wherein they didn't really have that much bearing, so they went really crazy with all the picks. So, you know, we'll see if that might be the case, or if they still decide to take it seriously nonetheless.
Yeah, I think that was an EU LCS actually.
Ah, there we go, yeah.
EU LCS. But we'll see the pick and bans. It looks a little bit serious still. Galio ban, Rek'Sai ban. Hopefully, they're just trying to spell something out.
Maybe.
Who knows, they might be trying to spell something out. But so far, very serious bans coming out from both sides. I feel like we won't get a exhibition match between Team Timo and Team Yasuo.
Yeah, I was hopefully expecting that maybe the bans would kind of spell out an acronym, but I guess looks like both sides will be taking this game.
Maybe it is. We need to like take a look.
Yeah.
Because like it's RLM and BZG. Okay, never mind. Let's give up on that.
But yeah, looks like for the first lock-in, it's going to be Jarvan the 4th. So it looks like they won't be holding back for this game at all. You know, gonna go out with a bang. Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
But yeah, like prioritizing a flex pick, really good. Cho'Gath is still available as well. You can pair it up with a Cho'Gath. My personal favorite is probably looking into the Elise as well, because like Elise is really good in this patch. The trend that we've seen in the past 3 days is that there isn't that much priority on Elise as there is on like in the LCK, and I feel like maybe it's just a difference in the playstyles between Southeast Asian countries.
True. So it looks like we will be seeing the lock-in while we await the next pick for the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. 3 seconds remaining, and that is going to be the lock-in on the Jace.
Yeah, so flex.
Yes.
Flex again. So KLH just flexing their muscles right now. You don't know what champions they're gonna, what these champions are gonna go to what lane. This might be a Jace top. It is now officially a Jace top. We have a Jarvan jungle, and we have our hedge on that mid Orianna. Very safe mid lane. And right now, you've got to be thinking, what's going to be their bottom lane, because the Kalista locked in for YG. I like how they prioritize the Kalista. So a lot of Kalista goes really well with Kalistar. You have the Kalistresh, you have the Kalista Khan. So many variables, so many viable supports coming out from YG. And do note that they actually do get the first pick, so they won't be prioritizing support bans here. They'll just ban out Tristan and maybe even the Saya as well. And then put Becky on an awkward spot, like maybe on Twitch, Varus and Ashe. But yeah, what's going to happen is the young generation team will be picking a support that isn't banned out. So will it be the Kalista Khan or will it be the Kalista Trench? That is the question right now. What does KLH want to give up? I do know for a fact that Bipolar loves his Thresh, so I feel like they might actually ban the Thresh. Exactly, because they don't want Bipolar to go up against the Thresh. And do note that Bipolar did play Blitzcrank as well, so that is a pocket pick coming out from KLH. And right now it will be the Rakan for sure. It's pretty obvious, like the Kalista Khan, the only other viable support you run with Kalista. I feel like there are others as well, like Leona, but those are, you know, for normal games.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so now you see the ADC and bot lane. This will be either a Saya, a Twitch, and then for Bipolar, it will be either, actually a Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw actually works, and then will we see something like a Lulu or a Sona, or something that can actually keep Becky safe? Maybe even a support Ashe.
Oh!
And then no, we're just kidding. It's gonna be a Lulu for sure. Lulu or Karma. That is the only way they would pick that Kog'Maw into it. So now we need to find out what the mid lane is gonna be for young generation. Do they want Naul to have some fun? I see the Katarina hover. This might be interesting. But it looks like they're just going for the very standard Orianna versus Syndra matchup. Very skill matchup. Really leaning towards whoever is actually the better mid laner, and whichever team's jungler actually exerts good, decent amount of pressure in the mid lane.
And I guess regardless, with both sides locked, and come to think of it, the last KLH versus YG game during day one, it was actually the Kuala Lumpur Hunters that took a score off YG. So they're definitely the only team that managed to defeat Young Generation in the group stage. So I guess, considering that this is their last game for the group stage right now with no bearing whatsoever, you know, they want to still show that, you know, at least we could honestly say that we were the only team that took down the first seed, because none other team was able to do that.
Yeah, but one thing we've observed from the 3 days of GPL is that no one is safe.
True.
Because Kuala Lumpur Hunters lost to a lot of teams that they shouldn't have lost to, and then they want Young Generation. Like, you know how like everyone's actually on like even footing except Young Generation.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah, I felt like it was a really big toss-up between Resurgence, Team Manila Eagles, and Kuala Lumpur Hunters. I'm not so sure about Headhunters, but I feel like those three teams who are actually in the middle of the pack, it could have gone either way.
Exactly. That's actually quite true. But nonetheless, of course, this is going to be the third game we're going to be venturing into for the last stage of the group stage. But of course, in the next stage to come, we'll be actually having a break tomorrow, followed by the knockout round, which is going to be all the more intense because this is where we're going to be seeing teams like the Gigabyte Marines and Ascension Gaming, you know, kind of waiting. They've managed to watch all these teams duke it out in the group stage, so I'm pretty sure they all have a fairly good idea as to what to expect and how they plan out going up against whoever they do end up with. Of course, by default already, Young Generation is still maybe going up against Ascension Gaming, so we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and Ascension Gaming versus Young Generation, that's going to be interesting because what might happen is Young Generation goes through, and then it's gonna be interesting because like the winner of Gigabyte Marines versus Resurgence / Team Manila Eagles is gonna be somewhat a rematch, either a rematch of the Vietnamese League or a rematch of the group stages.
Exactly, storylines either way for whatever the results. But look at this, we will be heading into Summer's Rift now once again for Game 3 of the final day of the group stage for the Korean Premier League 2017 summer season. Of course, once again, this is between the Kuala Lumpur Hunters of Malaysia versus Young Generation of Vietnam, the second seed.
And Shiro already getting a head start in the gold, has 5 gold, taking down 1 Spiderling from Venus. Luckily, Venus was quick to react, went back to human form, and denied the other Spiderling, or else it would have been a decent gold lead for for Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Indeed.
Not the way you want to start with by giving your enemy team 10 gold. 5 gold, sure, why not?
But there we go. Looks like for both sides, actually both junglers will be starting off towards the bottom side of the map respectively. So we'll just have to see though. Now that I noticed, okay, there we go. So it is indeed going to be the standard buff starts for both sides. But yeah, looking at the, as you said earlier, looking at these composition here, very standard. We'll just have to see. It all depends on how both sides play it out individually and coming together as a whole during the latter parts of the game.
I like how Arhead is really punishing Naul, getting the lane priority, which is very easy as a Orianna as well. With the empowered auto attacks, with the command attack, immediately hits level 2, takes a Thunderlord's proc onto Naul, forcing him to burn 1 potion already. And the CS lead right now for Arhead is just an indicator of like how the difference between the 2 laners.
Indeed, and just thinking about this game, I can't help but think that if Kuala Lumpur Hunters actually takes down Young Generation, you know, they're almost like the team that we never had going into the knockout stage. Because by history, now that I realize, last GPL, they went pretty well, I'd say, against the Gigabyte Marines, having gone 2-3 in the semifinals. So it just goes to show that it's such a shame that we won't be seeing him make it to that next stage. With, especially by history, technically they've already beaten the Young Generation, but looks like Arhedge might be in a bit of trouble himself. Cocoon actually connects, but looks like no further pursuit coming in from 2 members of YG.
Yeah, but what this means is Venus will be going for a return gank onto Arhead a little bit later on while the cleanse is still down. And interesting enough, you actually have a triple buff start coming out from Caspiel over Venus. He was able to steal the red buff of Venus, was able to take his Raptors as well.
Ooh, Caspiel though kind of lingering towards the top side. Will he be going for it though? Yes, he will. Unfortunately, does not get the knockup. Continues the chase though, but looks like the top laner for YG will be able to escape.
Yeah, and he had a ward there, just wasting the time of Caspiel, trying to buy time for Venus to actually catch up. Because Caspiel, his pathing was really interesting. He went red buff to red buff. To red buff to Raptors to blue and then Gromp. Which is something you rarely see.
Oh, there we go though. Caspiel just all over this map. Unfortunately, no connect, but that is going to be a flash down for Naul.
Yeah, trading summoner, just making sure that Naul and Venus can't go too ham on Arhedge, forcing the flash out of Naul, and then you will see that now he's on the right side. But I feel like there's no gank opportunity here at the bottom lane. He might go for an invade onto the Gromp. You see pings already coming out from Young Generation. They know that he's going for the Gromp. And
knock up though onto Bipolar. He might be in trouble here, but looks like he will manage to survive with a slither of help, although at the cost of both summoner spells down.
yeah, and one thing that's also notable here is Veki isn't running barrier. He's actually running cleanse.
Oh, now that you mention it. Interesting. I love this is very signature Caspiel right here. Just trying to choke out Venus. Again, it would just be so surprising if they actually translate this to another win.
Yeah, because right now the CS lead might be in favor of Venus, but you can tell that the EXP lead is in favor of Caspiel. Caspiel already getting that Rift Herald as well. You can see the gap between the 2 junglers, especially with a triple buff start. He's probably ahead by like half a level. And there's no signs of him stopping, also going for the Krugs. And Venus is going to his jungle asking himself, where'd my camps go?
Indeed, like if I were Venus right now, it would be very, very tricky. And the interesting thing is that in the midst of all these takes from Caspiel, not to mention he has the time to even gank lanes as we've seen earlier, so really well played.
Yeah, but Veki on the back foot in this bottom lane matchup, you can already see the CS lead slowly growing, almost 15, actually 15, soon to be 10 CS lead onto him by Big Koro.
definitely rather unfortunate. But it's like Venus himself in the midst of starvation in his jungle, trying to seek out any other takes that he can from Caspiel's own. We'll just have to see if he is successful though, but looks like he will opt to instead establish some level of vision to try to spot his counterpart out. Oh, Arhedge though actually gets stunned. Will we follow up with a cocoon? No! Actually flashes away to save his life, but that is going to be a summoner spell down for the mid laner of Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
I feel like Venus is very passive with, very conservative with how he's been using his flash. He had a decent flash opportunity there. He could have just executed her as well, but like right now you can see that they're dedicating 3 members onto this mid lane dive, but then they get spotted out by that ward.
Ooh, there we go. So that is going to be awareness for Arhedge right there. But looks like Young Generation will be backing off for the meantime, given that that is information for KLH to just kind of take it easy.
And like we said, we're not getting a game where we'll see Yasuo's and Teemos. It looks like both teams came here to play.
Yeah, Arhedge though might be in trouble here. Actually manages to step away, but looks like it will be Naul will be going down. First blood ultimately going to Arhedge.
Yeah, so Naul missing that one crucial skill shot. He just needed that Dark Sphere to land onto Arhedge, and he would have won the mid lane matchup. And right now, look at how much CS he's going to miss. Venus will be catching that wave, but still, Arhedge greatly punishing Naul, probably 500 to 600 gold ahead just with that solo kill.
Man,
and the EXP lead as well.
That was some good fancy footwork right there. I was almost expecting that he'd be done for, but then again, just at that moment, ooh, Caspiel though, will he be going for Venus in this case? Actually gets the knock up on and continues. Venus taking a lot of damage, trying to duel it out, but looks like Pallet will be joining the fray, though it might be Caspiel that might regret this. He actually gets knocked up. Big Koro on this case right now. Will he be going down? And yes, the kill ultimately going to the AD carry of Young Generation.
And the red buff as well.
Yautza.
So this will give Veki a harder laning phase. We know that Veki is a very hit or miss AD carry, especially with his performance this week. So you can see this replay right here. Naul actually gets the upper hand, but then misses that Q. He could have thrown it on top of Arhedge, but he tried to expect Arhedge to actually fully commit to that sidestep. But then, with the fancy footwork, as you said, coming out from Arhedge, gets the advantage and lands the ultimate. Instantly kills Naul with the auto attack and with the help of the caster minions.
Ah, yes, now that you mention it. So, good things for Arch right there, but then again, still with that takedown on Caspiel, 1-1 on this floor, but still everything very even. But looks like Caspiel tries to catch out. Unfortunately, Shockwave does not connect. Noctu might be getting Caspiel here. Will he die? And yes, he goes down. Looks like they will be continuing the fight though. Shiro trying to back away as they continue the chase. Arhedge as well in there for that extra support, but looks like that'll be yet another casualty, 1 for 1.
Yeah, jungler for jungler. This game's very even. I feel like the only discrepancy here is the bottom lane.
Yautza though, actually, Shiro might be in trouble here, getting a lot onto it. Forced to flash, but will secure the kill and survive yet another day.
Yeah, but I feel like he would want to reset this wave. Do take note that Shiro still has his teleport and he will be able to soak this wave the moment he does come up.
Just have to see though again. Just kind of goes back and forth between teams here, but nonetheless still very equal playing field. You know, very different from the tempo that we've seen during the first game that YG had against Team Manila Eagles, where it was a little bit more
aggressive.
Exactly. That really leaned towards Young Generation's favor. But KLH actually has been the one making the more has been a little bit more proactive, especially in the form of Caspiel within the first minutes. But then again, overall, it didn't really translate to anything as it's still very much equal.
Yeah, so right now you can tell that Big Koro is crazy ahead with the wit's end. Something you rarely see.
Oh man, this is going to be the 3-man dive though. Shiro is very much aware though that not just sure of how many members exactly. That is going to be the revelation right there as 3 members dive in onto the top laner, and that is going to be the kill going to the Renekton.
Venus has really fast hands, I must say. He wanted to land the bite, but then before he actually landed the bite, he immediately repelled for some weird reason.
Yeah.
Just a micro
Admiration.
micro admiration of what he did. He didn't even need to land and execute damage. He just was there to tank the turret and reset the aggro.
Ooh, Caspiel actually getting the knock up onto Pallet, but here come teleports coming in from both sides, though might not even be necessary, though, as Shiro finds himself in a very delicate situation, goes down. That is going to be 2-0 in favor of Young Generation.
Yeah, so it's still very scary for this Wit and Kalista because none of them actually have magic resist, and he just deals more bonus damage because of that.
Also, though, the support, though, of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, Bipolar might be in a sticky situation himself. Will he be going down, though? Survives with a slither of health, and that will force them to back away. But in exchange, though, Young Generation will be getting this outer bottom turret.
Yeah, and the gold split between the Renekton and the Kalista. These are the champions that you want to have most of the gold on. The tower first blood, third first blood gold actually goes to them, and it'll help them snowball their lanes even harder.
Man, I'm gonna have to take it back early. I was just saying that the tempo was a little bit different, but probably, yeah, for the first 8 minutes. But now, Young Generation just really starting to pick up the speed here. But Kuala Lumpur Hunter is gonna get this a little bit of a consolation in the form of this mountain drake. We'll just have to see as to whether or not it actually helps them in the latter parts of the game when they're actually behind right now.
Yeah, but what you can expect here right now is another tower dive, possibly onto Shiro. No, actually, because Shiro doesn't back to his turret. He will fight Venus 1v1.
Yes, we'll be going for the duo. Knockup coming in from Palace, but that doesn't delay the inevitable that Shiro will really be going down, though. Actually, Pallet, yes, does get the auto attack.
And Shiro's gold value is so low right now, just 186 gold. And dropping, because he is 1-4 right now, and Caspiel is 0-3.
Not the best position at all for Kuala Lumpur Hunters. You know, they had a lot of bravado, a lot of things going for them in the first minute, but the fact that they weren't able to translate that into establishing a lead, or not, because it just kept on going even. And now because of that blunder that happened towards bot lane, you know, it's just really Young Generation. I'm kind of worried that they might be able to pull the dual full throttle in this case, but looks like Knockup actually going to connect onto Bipolar once again. Bipolar trying to run away, but Big Goro gets the kill. Becky himself might be in a little bit of a predicament himself as Young Generation continues the chase. Becky trying to duel it out. Double kill for Big Goro. Caspiel might be the next casualty here. Big Goro actually gets the shockwave, but still manages to take down Caspiel. Triple kill before ultimately going down to R-Hedge.
Yeah, that was some fancy footwork. He actually was able to dodge the ultimate coming out from R-Hedge with the martial poise and just hopping in and out, forcing. It's actually really hard to land those kill shots, especially when your Kalista already has a lot of attack speed this early on in the game.
Exactly. I mean, Ruden's Hurricane plus Switch, and that's absolutely insane. Almost unheard of. 2 items completed over. We're only heading into 15 minutes of this game here, so that's pretty insane. And of course, here towards the bot side, Shiro trying to defend this, but then again, like we do see, he is quite behind. Let's go ahead and check out what happened.
So as you can see, Venus is actually left in the Rift Herald pit. Like, we already saw what Big Coro did, but I like how R-Hedge actually solo kills Venus in the start of the fight. Take a look at how they commit, but then Caspiel suddenly becomes the ball delivery system. Big Coro dancing in and out, dodges the ultimate if I'm not mistaken, and then sadly didn't have enough HP to actually do it, to out-duel R-Hedge.
Yes, indeed. Of course, currently looking at the score 5-10. Kuala Lumpur Hunters actually getting scouted out here by the members of Young Generation as they establish offensive warding on the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, which is not good as the blue buff is actually taken as well. But here we go, we have a little bit of a fight here. Becky trying to damage Bipolar, actually getting the kill, while Becky managing to take down Big Koro as well. Looks like the mid lane, or rather the jungler for Young Generation, will have to back away from this.
I feel like they know that they're ahead, but they're getting really complacent with these fights. And Big Koro, the way he's playing, it seems like he's really confident But sadly, the execution isn't there.
Yeah, our hedge though forced to flash away, but looks like Nocti continuing the chase though will be going down, ultimately taking a lot of turret shots, but does not spell that for him whatsoever.
Yeah, and what's going to happen is they are going to look at this mid lane turret because
Caspian might be in trouble himself. He gets the knock onto the old Cataclysm actually to get the kill, but Venus actually on the tail along with Nocti. I'm not sure he'll be able to survive this cocoon necessarily, but here we go, Pallet as well. Caught in a tight place, Big Koro ultimately getting the kill.
yeah, and Caspiel actually getting a gold reset with that solo kill onto the mid laner of Young Generation, and then giving full gold value again, 300 gold to Big Koro. And that's not what you want to happen because Big Koro is just getting bigger and bigger.
Indeed, no pun intended, of course, no pun intended. But looks like, of course, Kuala Lumpur Hunters will be contesting over here at Rift Herald as they do see the take happening right now, but I don't think they will be able to deny it as more members of Young Generation converge onto this very crucial buff here.
Yeah, and you can tell right now, like, how things are going, how Big Koro is actually itemizing as well. So you can see here, look, take a look at how over-aggressive they are. They don't actually have a lot of HP on Pallet, and then Big Koro just gets polymorphed, and then the growth as well coming out from Bipolar just turns it into a really uneven fight.
Indeed.
But one thing you can take note of with the Wits End into the Runan's Hurricane is it amplifies the damage coming out from Venus and Naul. So if Naul and Venus actually offer Haunting Geysers, then it's going to be very scary for them because they already have the Sorcerer shoes together with the Magic Ped coming out from Haunting Geys, and then they have the Magic Resist Shred as well coming out from the Wits End.
Indeed. And I think, you know, regardless, it's definitely something that will heavily benefit from, especially looking at their respective scorings right now, 0 and 2 for both, although they do make up for it in assists. Looks like Shiro, though, just having a hard time going up against this Renekton. But here we go, our edge is ultimately caught out, though. Knockup does not connect onto Caspiel as he does manage to escape.
Yeah, but this will mean 2 turrets for for Young Generation unless Shiro can wave clear. Because they do have that Rift Herald, and they can, and this second turret will be taken down really quickly.
And Young Generation slowly making the Kuala Lumpur Hunters bow down, as this is just too much pressure for them to deal with. Again, mid inner turret, potentially also.
What is up with the macro coming out from Kuala Lumpur Hunters right now? I saw Shiro making his way to mid, suddenly goes bot and gives another free turret. They were only supposed to lose 2 turrets there, but then for some weird reason Shiro goes to bot lane. They end up losing their inhibitor turret as well.
This is absolutely crazy. Like,
I feel like the comms right now in Kuala Lumpur Hunters are very chaotic because people don't know what's happening. Like Caspiel invading by himself with no lane priority coming out from his mid lane and bot lane. Happening multiple times actually. You also have Veki and Bipolar losing the 2v2s from time to time. And then Shiro probably right now, because he's 1-4, he's probably very tilted. He didn't do much. He had the right idea in mind. He recalled early from bottom lane to make sure that they wouldn't lose the inhibitor turret. And then the moment they take down the outer turret, the inner turret rather, he immediately goes bot lane, assuming that they won't commit to the inhibitor turret. And then they lose another turret. And what this means for them is RH is going to have a really hard time farming, while Naul will be having a lot of free reign over the jungle of Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
absolutely crazy. Caspiel might be cut out once again, will be going down.
As we were saying, free reign over the Kuala Lumpur Hunters jungle. That was a beautiful deny as well on the flag and drag by Naul. He just knocks him up the moment he tries to go for the flag and drag.
And RH though actually trying to run this out, but gets taken down by the Renekton though. Shiro actually gets the kill onto Venus, but I don't think he'll be able to survive once again as both members of the Young Generation make that 3, converge onto him, takes him down, godlike for Nocti.
Yeah, and Big Koro wasn't even in that fight. and most of the gold is on Big Koro and Nocti. So we have to see like what Young Generation is capable of as a 5-man unit. Because right now, if I were a Young Generation, I'd just be threatening Baron right now because of how strong my ADC is.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. I mean, for Young Generation, as expected, very beautiful performance. But Kuala Lumpur Hunters, this isn't the team. This isn't the same team that I've seen during day one, wherein they had a better showing. Like, this is almost a shadow of the team that we've seen from day one, going into this third game, wherein the macro is just almost hugely questionable.
Yeah, I feel like this could be possible burnout as well. We do know that a lot of players do get stressed when they lose their chance of not being able to go to Worlds. But as we were saying, that look at how they're already setting up for Baron. They can do Baron really easily because of how strong Nocti is. Nocti already committing to teleport. It's gonna be a Baron play. The Ren plus Nocti is way too strong, regardless of whether most of the dragons went towards the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. It all depends now on the ultimate coming out from Arhead.
Indeed, it looks like one member already. Caspiel goes down Nocti, trying to take down RH, but looks like two members double kill for Big Koro, as Shiro and RH will be backing away for the meantime. They do manage to delay the Baron though, but for how long exactly?
Yeah, but one thing you can take note of, the saving grace for Kuala Lumpur Hunters is that they do have a blue side Orianna, and what a blue side Orianna actually means for viewers who aren't familiar with the blue side Orianna is when the red team starts the Baron, their backline is actually exposed towards the blue team. So what happens is the Orianna can get a really good ultimate together with the Baron debuff. It basically means a lot of damage, and Arhedge has an opportunity to insta-give the backline coming out from Young Generation. So as you can see here, Arhedge, keep the eye on the ball. He actually uses his ult and whiffs it. This could have been what KLH needed to win the game. Actually get back into the game rather. But sadly, Veki and Bipolar are way too far off. Caspiel wasn't there as well. It was a 4v5, but it was decent by Arhedge.
Again, the coordination, where is it? But looks like Bipolar and Veki might be in trouble here once again, as both members of the Kuala Lumpur Hunters go down, and this may be the signal for Young Generation to finally go for Baron.
Yeah, so again, Veki and Bipolar right now, they're with regards to the comms in the team, I feel like they're playing a different game. I think this is a 3v2v5 right now, because the way they're playing, they're having a really hard time. It seems like they're disconnect between themselves and the team.
It's just quite unfortunate to witness right now. A lot of expectation coming in from the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. But then again, as you did mention, there are factors that go beyond outside the game, wherein such opportunities like your mindset ultimately gets affected when you're in these type of scenarios, that you can't really blame them, because especially for the both of us, we've both been through competitive scenarios wherein you'd kind of end up in these unfortunate slumps. But nonetheless, on the other side of things, Young Generation, this is a great way to start flexing in preparation for the next stage.
Yeah, they could just treat this game as like a practice game, showing off their strengths. I'm actually surprised that they're playing so seriously when they could be giving up information with regards to how they play. And Ascension Gaming, if I were Ascension Gaming, I'd be taking down notes as soon as possible. Like, this is a freebie, if you will, because you will be able to find out how Young Generation actually plays by seeing what their patterns are, what their tendencies are as well. So we'll see.
There we go. Let's go ahead and check out what happened here, though.
So look at Caspiel. Yes?
Tries to go for the steal.
Tries to go for the steal. Immediately flags and drags into Nocti. Hi, kill me.
Trying to go for a sneaky. Unfortunately, did not quite work in his favor. And here we go. Lots and lots of pressure happening across the board with these powered minions.
Yes, but the thing is, look at Nocti right now, 2v1. And here comes the Cavalry. Venus
and
is
Venus,
there.
though, actually gets the kill onto Shiro. Caspiel will be the next to follow, though. Actually manages to escape. Will survive yet another day, but I can't really say the same for the base of Kuala Lumpur Hunters as inhibitor turrets. Not to mention inhibitor goes down here on the top.
I feel like this is very alarming.
Yes, indeed. But speaking of alarming, Arhedge might have to be alarmed himself, taking a lot of damage. Will he be able to survive? No! Ultimately goes down, and this is going to be 3 members. No, make that 4 members of Kuala Lumpur Hunters down. Becky, I don't think he could defend this. I believe we may have a game here. Teleport actually coming in from Noxy as well to join that picture finish of a game. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the first seed of the group stage to go up against Ascension Gaming. Actually, still trying to dish out find some final targets, but that doesn't end it.
Yeah.
Young Generation for the win. I'm absolutely baffled right now.
Yeah, for me, it's just alarming. Like, back then, spring GPL, let's take a history lesson back to spring, GPL spring, right? It was just the question of whether who's the best jungler, Caspiel or Levi.
Levi, yes.
Levi, exactly. Actually, I think it's Levi. If I'm not,
Levi.
Yeah, it's Levi. And then now you have Venus running circles around Caspiel. Caspiel even securing the triple buff start still wasn't able to do much. And I feel like the gap between Vietnam and the other Southeast Asian countries is pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, but in retrospect, I'm not gonna lie. I was really rooting for the Kuala Lumpur Hunters as one of the top 2 teams along with Manila Eagles to potentially make it to the knockout stage, but unfortunately that won't be the case. Nonetheless, congratulations once again to Young Generation, the 2nd seed of Vietnam, really showing that they have what it takes in their first showing in the GPL. Nonetheless, of course, we have been your casters, Arctic at your service, fam, and of course with me, Ice Iconic. Stay tuned as we head into Game 4 between Singaporean teams and Philippine teams. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone, to the deciding match to determine who will be the second seed moving on to the knockout stage. I am Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We will be your casters for the last game that will decide the fate of Team Manila Eagles and Resurgence. Who will go to the knockout stage? We'll find out in this game.
Man, oh man, what an interesting game that we have here. Two of the teams, we have the Philippines, of course, who has been almost consistently towards the mid to top of the pack in the GPL, while for Singapore, out of nowhere, you know, after consistently being at the bottom over these past few splits, boom, suddenly this is their chance at glory right here.
This is the effect where we are seeing the roster changes towards Resurgence, where they do have two Thailand imports, and Team Manila Eagles, this is their first GPL. Let's get to it. This is going to be the do or die scenario. Will TME make it to the knockout stage, or will it be Resurgence? TME's first time in the GPL, making way to the knockout stage. That is already a good record for the new team entering the GPL, whereas Resurgence, previously known as Team Rigel, moving on to the knockout stage is also a huge achievement. So two teams are out there to make some history.
Indeed, history, especially for this one where it's very crucial. Well, hashtag Worlds is on the line here. But anyways, looking at the bans here to check out this very, very crucial game, Galio, Oriana, and Rakan going to be banned out from Resurgence, while Callista, Shen, and Zac, three champions that Team Manila Eagles are very proficient at, are going to be banned out from them.
So this is actually going to be the one of the picks that could change the flow of the team fight with Kuala Lumpur Hunters. The Zac and the Shen, they were the key combos in TME's victory against KLH. So TME, not wasting any time, already picking up the Jana and Kokmao, followed by the Gragas. So Resurgence sneaking off, countering this with a Braum and Ash. This concludes the first picking phase. This is going to be the do or die scenario. On to the second phase. This is going to be everything they built up, everything they worked towards here is on the line here.
Man, I'm actually surprised right now because Kog'Maw and Marky is not really a thing you think are synonymous to Marky, because when you think Marky, you think these powerful picks like the Callista, like the Saya, like the Twitch, but Kog'Maw, it's going to be very interesting to see how that dynamic works. Although, as it is paired with the Jana, combined with if Rocks could build up on that Ardent sensor earlier on without really losing their lane as hard, then you know, it's going to be very interesting dynamic for Team Manila Eagles here. But looking at the bans for the second rotation here, it's going to be the Corky taken away from Trevor, one of those champions that he has proven to be
Comfort pick.
comfort pick.
One of his safest pick where he does not feed that fast. And if you put it blatantly or frankly,
True. Actually,
this is the pick that TME goes for in order for Trevor to have this room to grow. He does perform really well towards the late game, and I don't think Resurgence will allow that.
not at all.
And also removing the Jace of Trevor. Now they're focusing on to Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, we have been pegging Trevor. Has been, unfortunately, a little bit shaky over the course of the group stage. So best to deny those very powerful picks that he can execute. So we'll just have to see Ciela, though, actually going to be locking in the Lucian for Intresso. So we are going to be seeing that Lucian going into the mid lane once again.
So this is going to be hover on the Cassiopeia, locked in. This is actually going to be marking some territory for Team Manila Eagles because a Cassiopeia against a Lucian. I wonder how that will go, and this is going to be the Sion in the top lane that did manage to get through. However, Resurgence did manage to pick very powerful champions here in the strong meta. Cho'Gath and the Rumble top.
Looks like they will be sending that Cho'Gath jungle after all. So nonetheless, with both sides locked in, also notably, the Sion coming in from JLC. How that'll work, we'll just have to see. Although, as of the last game, he actually played Sion. I guess it was okay. It's definitely okay.
Well, it's the I wouldn't say it was okay. It's more of a surprise. They did catch the enemy off guard. He did manage to lock in one ADC under the top lane turret.
True.
Managed to solo kill it. So this is going to be GLC's playstyle where he does love to play defensively, whereas Resurgence is going to be going for more of an offensive side. A Rumble in the top. If that Rumble starts snowballing, this could be the end for TME.
Indeed, that's something they want to try to avoid here, especially looking at their picks here. But nonetheless, it has come down to this very, very crucial game we're in. I don't know, man, because both teams are looking very, very strong. As much as I have true support for Team Manila Eagles, Singapore as well, this is like finally their moment to achieve glory that has been denied split after split after split, unfortunately. But it's really good to see that we're seeing a change of tempo from the Singaporean team.
It's the whole about roster change. When the roster change happens, expect that everything is going to change. Everything you knew from the past GPL will be irrelevant because we did see that one of the huge roster changes we saw was the Call for Hunters, where we did see Ozora Becky come back into the team. However, it did not perform that well.
Yes.
So this is the do or die scenario where Team Manila Eagles or Resurgence will be securing their second seed, but they will be fighting the Gigabyte Marines. So this is going to be a huge blow. This is going to be a huge honor for the second seed to actually fight against the consistent, the most powerful team in the whole Southeast Asia. The consistent GPL champions, the Gigabyte Marines, will be fighting the second seed, while as Ascension Gaming will be fighting the first seed, which would be obviously Young Generation.
Man, I'm pretty pumped up for this game because, yeah, like you mentioned, regardless, whoever wins, they have quite the juggernaut to go up against. Gigabyte
But
Marines.
it's also the fact that when you make it to the knockout stage, you have two chances. There is the knockout stage. There is the winner's bracket, the loser's bracket. Whoever, at least you have two chances to make it to the play-in stage to Worlds in China. So let us see how Trevor is feeling right now. I mean, in this interview video.
First day kasi nag-struggle pa ako. Siguro bagong laro lang sa international stage kaya di pa okay laro ko. Nung second day na, natuto na ako sa mali ko kaya eto nakabawi ako nung game 1 and game 2. Nakip ko yung confidence ko dahil sa walang pagsawa na pagtiwala rin ng mga kampi ko sa akin. Yung laro nila nun sobrang lakas kaya cheer up na nila ako para yung laro ko maging okay din kaya nakabawi ako ng game 1 and game 2 ng day 2. Yung nag-contribute sa panalo namin, yung walang kasawang pag-encourage ng mga kampi ko, ng boss, tsaka ng coach. Tsaka especially sa girlfriend ko na laging nagsusuporta, kundi dahil sa kanila, baka yung games namin ngayon baka masira lang lalo. Message ko sa fans ng TME, salamat sa pagsuporta nyo sa amin. Dahil sa inyo, lumalakas kami lalo. Tsaka sa mga nagda-doubt sa amin dyan, papakita na namin lakas namin.
Let us see if Trevor will be staying true to his worlds. The do-or-die scenario of Team Manila Eagles, the representative from the Philippines, fighting against Resurgence from Singapore. Let's get straight to it. This is going to be the last game. I don't think we'll be seeing any more tiebreakers, being that this is actually a tiebreaker itself.
Nope, not at all. But looks like Aris gonna be getting some vision onto the side of Team Manila Eagles for a little bit of information. Interesting because, you know, if ever they get a holdout on Coops, then that gives them awareness as to how much they could kind of expand their wingspan as far as how they go about their lanes, and even as well as the pathing of Coops eventually. So looks like Rock as well was able to spot out that no start on the blue side, so there's highly likely chance that Coops is starting off the bot side, and into this game we go. Look at this though, Trevor actually taking about 3/5 of, or rather 2/5 of his health bar down, so have to be a little bit more careful there.
This is actually pretty risky for TME because they are playing the same strategy where they used against the Kuala Lumpur Hunters, where they are going to be banking on that late game spike of Marky. But if Marky does not perform properly in the bot lane, this will spell trouble for TME, and any hopes of making it into the play-in stage or the Worlds.
Indeed. Trevor here having a little bit of a struggle. Actually, a wave up here in Treso is, so I'll have to be a little bit more careful. If anything, might be needing to help alleviate some of that pressure going on that mid lane, because otherwise he might have another tricky time.
So far, things are looking pretty pushed in for Team Manila Eagles. Resurgence really putting the heat on all lanes. Top, middle, bottom lane are all pushed in, where we do see some opportunities for our junglers to step in. Look at the damage coming in from Trevor. Now here comes Scopes for the gank. Flash is still available. He does flash away from that knockup.
Yes, and with a summoner spell down, that actually does give Coops a little bit more maneuverability as far as getting potential gank should he decide to go for a roundabout and try their luck once again onto getting first blood onto Rock.
So this is going to be a sort of a reset in the top lane side. Where's the mid lane? We do see that Intresto can be ganked, and we are seeing Eternal stealing some resources. Cubs going in for a return gank.
Nope.
I don't think this is going to spell good for Rock. He does not have any more flash. Double CC in. There is the knockup, but the slow for the red buff will be more than enough. A flash in from JLC. The first blood will go to Cubs.
Yes, indeed. Team Manila Eagles off to a good start though, but Eternal in exchange actually going to be training a bit of Coops' camp after a little bit of a long stay there towards top. So, but nonetheless, mission accomplished. Good start for Team Manila Eagles. We'll see if they could build up on that though, because Resurgence is still very much in it to win it.
With the first blood going towards Coops, let us see the replay on what happened.
Oh man, though. So let's go ahead and check it out right here. Because of that flash down, it was very crucial because JLC, I'm not sure that flash was necessary though, because it's just weird. It's just very weird. Although, I guess for the security of the kill, sure, but I don't know, man.
Okay, in terms of where Arctic does not know what is going to be going up, but you know what's up. That TME got the first blood.
Yep.
You have a good start. You have that good mojo going on. So right now, we're going to be seeing Coops returning a gank. Flash, not yet available, but for Coops, he does have his flash and knock up onto Rock. focusing on to that Rumble, shutting him down as much as they can. JLC, however, does block the last harpoon. Here comes the turn off for the flash and knockout will not connect. Will JLC taking the heat?
And Espresso there as
coming
well.
in. JLC does eat up the knock. 3 members invested in the top lane side. JLC will be giving the kill to Intresso.
Yes, that was a little bit of a mishap there for Team Manila Eagles. Not really estimating that Eternal might have already been within the vicinity after transitioning towards bot side. So again, we're back on even playing field here, 1-1 rather, in terms of the scoreboard here. So,
and now we're seeing that Intresso has the Cutlass, but on the bot lane side, we are seeing some retaliation from Marky. Look at how the lanes work. That is the first indication of you will know who has the upper hand. But seeing how it's a back and forth scenario, a tug of war, it's a matter of who can intervene, who can change the flow of fight. This will be the jungler's duty. We did see that Coops did just that, and might expect some assistance again in the top lane side. We are seeing a heavy focus in the top lane.
indeed, and this is going to be interesting now. Let's go ahead and check out what happened towards top side here, though. So in the replay here, Coach actually getting a successful knock-up, but the fact is they weren't really able to... Again, this is Rock getting that perfect shield on, and it was just enough time bought so that Eternal and Intresso could go for the response here. So Cook already within the safety, but there's just no salvaging here for JLC. Sure, he tried to head along around, but didn't really last enough. But here we go, Trevor getting the kill.
Tables up turn. Under the third kill will be now to Intresso. Not anymore. Trevor will be killed under his own turret. He is stepping up in this game. Resurgence getting a bit edgy here. So we're going to be seeing how will this game turn out. TME with a kill score 2-1. 7 minutes and 20 seconds into the game. Gold advantage, not too far, but it's the distribution that matters.
Indeed. And with all said and done here, Trevor, you know, this was kind of the worry here. He was receiving a lot from Intresso, but as soon as he hit out the poison along with the Twin Fang for that kill, then that's where things started balancing a bit. But nonetheless, we'll just have, again, clearly, there's just so much emphasis on these two junglers, both Coops and Eternal, to really get things going. Let's go ahead and check out what happened here, though. JLC actually storming in. Intresso just kind of blocked out from any form of escape here. JLC eventually getting the slow, following into a knockup. Flash out from Trevor to make sure that he follows up on the damage to secure that kill.
So with a 2-1 kill score, Trevor looking pretty good with the tier stacking up nicely. He will be going for the Arm Seeker's guard.
There we go, though. Nonetheless, I mean, let's go ahead and check out the itemization here real quick. Lucian actually already having the Bilgewater Cutlass. Well, of course, Trevor gonna go for the Tear of the Goddess, you know, gives him that extra mana with all the Twin Fangs being thrown out here.
And so far, steady pace going in all throughout the map. Resurgence will be trying to go for this Infernal. No wards placed in. This is going to be a sneaky Infernal, one of the highest in priority Drake out there. Anyone wants this Drake, but it will be Resurgence getting the upper hand in this objective.
That's going to be very painful because if you're going to look at the composition that Resurgence has across the board, there are a lot of champions that hurt, ranging from the Rumble, the Shogat, the Lucian, the Ashe. This is necessarily not a Drake that Team Manila Eagles wants to give up, but unfortunately has already happened as the first Drake does indeed go to Resurgence uncontested.
This is going to be a huge bonus for Resurgence. We are seeing a Rumble, a Lucian, Shogat. They will all benefit from this. All champions here, whereas TME, I don't think they had the luxury to give that away, but they are going to be playing it safe. They do not want to risk anything else.
Here we go. So this is going to be scary right here because the damage amplification for Resurgence just makes the takedown all the more painful here. That, I feel like the Infernal Drake was definitely very crucial indeed.
So this is going to be 9 minutes and 4 seconds into the game. No first turret yet. But seeing how the lanes were being pushed out, it might go either way. But we're seeing Coops going in for the Kang. Intresso is their explosive cast for the dislodge, but it will be the calling to scare the members of TME away. There is a control ward, so Resurgence do have the vision advantage. And knowing this, they back off from Team Manila Eagles.
great backup there coming in from Ciela to make, you know, just to give Treso that backup he needs. So that was actually great timing. Great timing for Cielo. Right place at the right time, almost.
This is Ace hands. We can see that no one's risk. Here comes the onslaught of JLC on to Intreso. He does not get petrified, but he does get a huge lockdown from 3 members of TME. That would be another kill going to Trevor.
Yautza, and the fact that Rock continued his teleport, that didn't really spell good for Resurgence right there. So that is going to be a little bit of pressure of relief from Team Manila Eagles. As JLC actually still has his teleport up. So we'll just have to see as to whether or not Team Manila Eagles can configure this into propelling to developing a lead above Resurgence, because that's a lot of pressure that Team Manila Eagles has right now, along with the ultimate. That's a fairly low cooldown on GLC's ultimate.
So I love how all the goal is going to Trevor, but his build plan takes a while. But here comes the gank from Eternal. There will be no follow-up. He does get spotted by a control ward. Rocks does not want him near his ward. Eternal flashed away. Marky's still sticking it to him. Eternal has no flash, no escape. He's a dead man. Marky picks up the kill for a 4-1 kill score.
Man, a little bit too ambitious there by Eternal, and Cooks just the right timing leaning towards bot side, and the JLC at the helm. Again, this is what I'm talking about with that teleport. We might be seeing our first turret team taking it.
Oh boy, 4 members committing themselves towards this bot lane turret. Ares does have the Glacial Fissure. We are not seeing any response, but there is the Glacial Fissure under that turret. JLC is tanking it, so this will buy Resurgence some time. But for how long? We are seeing that Rock is pushing the top lane. Trevor will respond to this. Rock is very low on health. He does see this coming. Equalizer is there for the slow zone. Trevor goes in for the flash in, but no. Petrifying Gaze just yet. There is the monsoon for the reset. Oh no, Cook falls down to Ares. Really committing towards that first turret.
Yeah, it's not exactly the scenario there, but Rock, the chase actually continues between both of these AV damagers, but ultimately I think Rock is going to opt for it. No, actually does survive. Might actually be able to walk away from this, but nonetheless, good job on Trevor. Was able to prolong the takedown on that turret.
Turtle coming in. The Crystal Arrow will connect on to JLC. He does get taken out, but he does come back to life. Eternal slowed down, but there is the Unbreakable to deny the damage coming from Marky. JLC trades his life for Eternal. Ares is very low. Same with Marky. No more mana. Flash in from Intereso. Well, just basic attacks there, so that will be enough for him to take down Marky. 3 members blinking red. This will be Resurgence coming up on top.
Yeah, this is another one of those scenarios where Team Manila Eagles they overextend, overcommit their boundaries, and they end up losing roughly 2 to, I think that was even 3 members they lost as a result. So, but nonetheless, didn't even result into a turret takedown. Although, sure, they were able to get the turret to substantially low health along with this mid lane here. So, that's a small consolation. But overall, very much even. And Cooks might actually get this first turret finally.
What DME lacks is macro. They need to enhance their macro play even more, but the first turret goes to them. That's pretty much happy. Oh. 2 turrets for DME. JLC coming to this. He does get 2 turrets, but at what cost? He's very low on health. JLC flashes away with a 3-man Petrifying Gaze. Trevor with the plays, saving JLC's life.
Wow, it's not a moment too soon, because if that went longer, then that would have been devastating for both Trevor and Coops. But luckily, at the last minute, Petrifying Gaze was able to get all those targets and the stun on, because if that fight prolonged a little bit longer, Trevor with barely any mana left, that would have gone way south, but good on TME.
Ciela committing towards this turret. 2 turrets score for TME. What a knockup coming from JLC. Ciela fighting back. There is the slow. JLC is in big trouble. Does not see Ares just yet. There is a knockup. Marky joins in the fight, but there's the Unbreakable Glacial Fissure for the knockup onto the rocks, and Marky catches the arrow, but JLC will take down Ares.
Wow, very well played indeed. And again, getting the faster response there and good commitment there onto JLC. You know, just kind of balancing that Ciela, kind of dangling himself like that delicious apple that you'd want to take long enough for the rest of TME to respond. And Ciela definitely paid the price for that in the form of his support being sacrificed.
When you see something you like in a tree, you pick it immediately. You don't wait for it to get rotten. That's what team is doing. They see an opportunity, they go for it. Why wait for a rotten fruit where you can get something very rewarding. Here comes the teleport play.
Oh no.
Marky in his bad spot. Rock is there over that bush, but Mike takes down Eternal with his passive. A 1-for-1 trade so far. And Treso going in onto Rocks. He does have the red buff, but does get dunked up with Howling Gale. Oh, Rock just tanked those turret hits to at least rejoin his allies in the top lane. So Resurgence 3 members in the top lane side, they are going to be pushing this turret.
Yes, indeed. Concession, though. Coops does not have any mana, though. Trevor gonna try to head up their top in order
They
to help.
don't have mana for this fight. They have to back off.
Not at all. And they might have to be careful, though. He has Ciela as well, exerting some pressure in the mid lane, but looks like we'll be backing away for the mid time as Trevor does make his way back to his own lane.
So this is going to be a standoff for the Infernal Drake now, because the turret-wise, Resurgence has the first Drake, the Infernal, then the turret, whereas TME, they do have the first turret of the game, and now the Infernal Drake is live. So if TME gets this Infernal, this will even out the discrepancy they have in terms of AD, AP, damage output. They need this Infernal. And here's the replay in the top lane.
Yes, looking at what happened here, so great on Mark. He wasn't able to take, was actually died, but luckily because of that passive, was able to take down Eternal here. But here's the beautiful thing though, Rock's great runaway, actually made a good escape there.
Howling Gale was more than enough for Rox to survive in Treso, but now 75 kill score. This can be a good news or a bad news for TME. They do have the numbers advantage towards them, but not that significant. However, Trevor is performing properly in this game. 2-0, not yet, no deaths so far. So let's see, will this Cassiopeia be the saving grace for Trevor and a chance for redemption from this previous game? But now, Rock in the bottom lane will be taking down the turret.
I think they're kind of balancing out here right now, as turrets are also being traded by Resurgence here, but in exchange for top lane actually being pushed out, as well as Resurgence might have to just let it be for the meantime. But whether or not TME will transition this into a Rift Herald potentially, that'll be interesting.
Oh, Trevor, a standoff against Treso. He does have the blue buff, has the luxury to spend all his skills without any trouble, but the Infernal is live, so no members want to be picked off just yet. GLC, ultimate up, but no flash. Oh, he just spent his ultimate over that wall, so that's one resource down for GLC. More of a mishap. The nerves are getting to these guys. They are feeling the pressure.
A little bit.
Because I think I knew what he was trying to do, because the last moment of the ultimate, you can hop over a wall, but that wall is just too thick. And I don't think he even traveled that far, so GLC kind of mispressed this moment. If he did have his ultimate, it would be good, but he does not have it. He will make it up with his own makeshift. There is the knockup, but the equalizer will cut off Coop. Marky and Rox is there for the save. GLC taking all the hits. A two-man knockup and a displacement. Holy moly! Interesto is a ping pong ball going back and forth. He gets taken out. Aries not going to be there. Cielo gets taken down. Just not yet, but Marky will be picking up the kill for two members of Resurgence. Just taking down Cielo. No more mana. Aries is very low. Gets slowed by the Battle Roar. Coops is there. Give it to Marky. He is on a killing spree.
That was absolutely amazing. 3-0 in favor of Team Manila Eagles, and Coops clearly a star in that. Going in onto the members of Resurgence, getting the perfect explosive cast. Absolutely crazy, because he was able to isolate Entresso right away, getting the takedown. So, wow, truly TME really flexing, realizing just how much on the line, how much is on the line here for this game, and looks like they'll be getting this with Charles. That would be absolutely huge, because a top inhibitor, an inner top turret taken to group, things are just going positive for them.
So far Rift Herald going for them, and it's actually going to be the Cloud Drake that is live right now, not the Infernal. So Resurgent, that's why no member wants to risk for that Cloud, but here is the replay of that mishap.
Indeed, a mishap indeed. Oopsie.
What? Why was that a replay though?
Yeah, you know, just to spot out what exactly happened there. But here, looking at the other replay, of course, So Enchantress Crystal Arrow actually connecting onto rocks, but it didn't necessarily deter TME from dealing the max damage that they can, because there wasn't really a full follow-up of damage from Resurgence either, because it was tricky. They got the support on Enchantress Crystal Arrow, but the key targets that they kind of want to squeeze out weren't taken. And at this point, it was just a great chase here coming in from TME. And
great coordination from the Eagles onto Resurgence.
it was just super key that they were able to take down Intresso right off the bat because of that very crucial explosive cast.
Great performance. Oh, Intresso picked up again. There's the slow. Coops is there. He does have the explosive cast and the flash. Forcing out the flash from Intresso. It's more than enough for the Eagles for this. Stun will be landing on the JLC. Coops is attacking the turrets. Hits. It will be the equalizer. Sucking up damage, but there's the redemption for the reset. 3-man knock up from the Chogas. Pretty understandable for Resurgence, but for TME, they are still healthy thanks to the redemption.
Yeah, that was a lot of heal coming out from that redemption there. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy. If anything, if we're talking about heals here, Rox is just all about the
Ooh, what is this? A Rift Herald spot.
Rift Herald.
No
potentially
turret.
just-
Oh, I see what they're doing. Baiting out the Eternal. Spawn the Rift Herald there, use it as a distraction, and then force Resurgence to take down that first. Now we see TME going to the Baron.
Yes, and with Eternal down, this might be very, very much feasible, so long as they don't dwindle at that last moment here.
7,000 HP, now down to 5,000. Baron is dwindling quickly. So Resurgence knows this, they can't contest it. They will be giving away a huge objective towards TME. The
And
Baron goes to the Eagle.
that was very... That was a very witty...
Ooh, Marky with a double knockout, but there is the reset again from the Monsoon. Marky is free hitting, but Ares is there with the Unbreakable. And no more allies to protect them. Ares was left just for the scraps. Marky with a KDA of 624, looking pretty solid.
Oh man, this is absolutely crazy. Again, that was an amazing mind game by Team Metal Eagles. And baiting out the Rift Heralds to pretend that they're going for the belt, only to just show a big surprise there by taking down both Eternal and Ciela.
They are using some, at least they are improving their macro from their experience. So, Resurgence, a huge deficit right now. 6,000 gold is going for TME with the Baron buff. This will be TME on the offensive with the Baron power play, whereas Resurgence getting all the resources they can to at least fend up this wave. Coops is there, DLC. We're going in, Coops does get spotted out. DLC does knock up Ciela, does miss the knockup onto Intresso. 4 members committing so much to JLC, but he does not care. Ciela is in the wall, grounded, cannot even move. It will be Coops going for 2-man body slap and explosive clash to deliver Ciela to Trevor over that wall. 4 members down, Resurgence looking to scatter around, going to the inhibitor turret, ditching the inner bot lane.
Yeah, but that definitely leaves a lot more options here for TME as they upward this inner mid turret. And man, with Ciela down, this is going to be very interesting as TME has all the peak potential in the world. Looks like JLC will be going back for the meantime, but does have his teleport up, so very much understandable as he does go for that teleport here. I don't know, Resurgence trying to go for the defense here. JLC actually looking to zone out the rest of the members of Resurgence as they converge on this inhibitor.
Things are looking pretty good for the Eagles. If they do win this game, you know what that means, that they will be going to the knockout stage. If this is a victory that TME is going for, 2-man body slam on the Cooks. Intresso can't do anything. Ciela, not even enough damage. Marky is dominating. This is going to be the Manila Eagles really showing what they've got, and Trevor is performing so well in this game, getting a double. I don't think he even had one death here. Perfect game for Trevor.
Indeed, and with only Intresso and Rock here to defend, Team Manila Eagles just going at this inhibitor here, exerting all the more pressure.
Benjamin Case. Oh, that is just painful. Intresso just walked into that, and with 4 members down of Resurgence, TME looking really good so far. And for Resurgence to come back from this huge deficit in terms of itemization, They are so behind in gold. 10,000 gold lead. And as we see that the gold lead increases to 10,000, you know who's going to win.
And that's what it all started with, that domino effect that happened towards the Baron side wherein they got baited. And the tricky part here is that I'm actually trying to recall if Ciella's Hawk Shot was up, because if it were, then it wouldn't necessarily have been necessary to have gone for that face check towards Baron side. So that was just really where things went south so fast for Resurgence. They wouldn't have found that position if it weren't for that fumble towards the Baron side. And as a result, TME just capitalizing on to the T. It's just absolutely awe-striking here, and with this recall coming in from TME, it's an easy option wherein they could just transition towards bot side and seal out any other form of comeback that Resurgence has here.
This is going to be time ticking for Resurgence. Look at Trevor, 703, performing so well.
Indeed, let's go ahead and check out what's happened towards top side here. Cook just kind of taking it like a champion. Eternal just trying to go in onto the more vulnerable targets to see if he could at least chunk someone down, but ultimately gets taken. And as a result here, Ciela was able to get the shutdown onto Marky here, but it doesn't really help even out the playing here for Resurgence.
So things will be so dire for Resurgence coming in. Redemptions for the reason. JLC is in deep. Coops is there for the flag. These two work like twins. They are sticking so well, pushing back Resurgence. The Nexus turrets are remaining. The only thing standing in the way of TME, looking to end this game really fast. We can see they're pushing them so hard that it's going to be a really good victory for Team Manila Eagles. A double kill for Marky. This KDA stands being Trevor with a perfect game. The Team Manila Eagles from the Philippines will be taking away Resurgence glory.
Wow, that was absolutely crazy, but looks like this is it. Ladies and gentlemen, the last winner of our group stage will proceeding to knockout stage. Congratulations, Team Manila Eagles.
If you notice, first game against Resurgence lasted over 50 minutes long, but now, not anymore. You see that TME, they know what to do, they know how to adjust, ending the game before even the 30-minute mark.
That was insane. I mean,
let's check the standings. A day to celebrate here in the Philippines. So Team Manila Eagles will be moving on to the knockout stage. I do not see any more tiebreakers. The tiebreaker was already this game. So Resurgence will be knocked down by Team Manila Eagles Young Generation in the first seed. Great score, 7-1. And that's going to be showing their skill. Team Manila Eagles 5-3 for a score of 5. Resurgence 4-4 for a score of 4. Qualifier Hunters 3-5 for 3. And Hunters with 1-7 for a score of 1. I gotta say, this is a very intense group stage I've seen.
Indeed. I mean, either way, even though Resurgence lost, I think both teams come out of it with something good, in the sense that for Resurgence, there has been a little bit of a struggle with the Singaporean teams lately, as far as some of the fans losing faith, because Singapore has been consistently at the bottom of the pack these past few splits. But I think this time around, at least, it does go to show that there is hope for the Singaporean squad. Regardless of where there were imports or not, I've seen better plays coming in from their own local talent like Ciela, like Eternal. They played beautifully this GPL that I really look forward to more things coming in from Singapore, and for Team Manila Eagles as well. There was a lot of doubt for TME going into this. Like, still, there was the shadow that a lot of people were thinking that their counterpart, the first runner-up in the Philippines, Mineski, would have probably done a better job in TME. But I think this just goes to show that TME shattering all those doubts that people had on them, making it to the knockout stage.
As Trevor said in the interview video, but congratulations for the two teams moving on to the knockout stage. Young Generation and Team Manila Eagles. For me, the GPL journey starts now. The boss awaits the Gigabyte Marines and Ascension Gaming awaiting them in the knockout stage. See you guys on Friday for the continuation of the Garena Premier League Summer 2017 for the knockout stage. We have been your shoutcasters. I am Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. See you guys on the knockout stage, and let's see how TME and Young Generation will perform.
Wow.